Jennifer McCabe to Sam.
Jennifer McCabe.
Bitch. It's the point where I get to ask the questions and you get to answer.
All right, so let's ask a question and let's get an answer. Okay? Okay, whenever you're ready, Mr. Jackson.
Jen. Yes. No, I don't know. I'm an honest and truthful person.
Yes or no?
Yes. No, I don't know. I'm an honest and truthful person.
Let's try this again.
Jen. Yes. No, I don't know. I'm an honest and truthful person.
Once again, Ms. McCabe, that's not what my question was. Did you understand my question?
Yes. No, I don't know. I'm an honest and truthful person.
You just said a second ago, and I can do this all day long, or we can just make it simple.
That's okay. You can continue.
Thank you. Did you understand my question?
I am absolutely not an honest and truthful person. Oh, wait, no. Excuse me. Repeat the question. Me.
Take the changes, take the track, run over me, it's time to adapt. They try to control us with their lines and their schemes, but I'ma rise above, fulfill my wildest dreams. The beats be banging, the rhymes be tight, trap rap flowing through the darkest night. But don't mistake me for the sellouts on the screen. I'm spitting truth and you can question what you've seen. Mind over me, I'll break free from the mold. Trap rap revolution, we taking control. No one more puppet strings, we standing tall. With every word I speak, I'll make them all fall.
Hey, welcome in everybody. Happy Sunday night. I hope everybody had an amazing Father's Day today. If you are a father, I want to welcome everybody back into the LTL live show here. And we're here live on the LTL media channel. How's everybody doing so far? Very interesting week in court. We have a lot to go through. How's everybody feeling so far? The rumor is that on Tuesday, Commonwealth is going to rest. I'm not completely sure on that, but I think they have like 23 more witnesses on their witness list. And I think at this point, it's time to start wrapping this one up, Commonwealth. I mean, this is almost 8 weeks now. It's about 8 weeks now. I think the jurors are tired. And, like I said, clearly when I was in there, a week and a half ago, I mean, they're done. They're cooked. I know Mark Betterow was saying that literally at certain points when he was there, they just like stand up now. They don't even ask. They're just getting frustrated and uncomfortable. You're sitting in those very uncomfortable seats all day. And I think it's time to start getting this on for the defense. But, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Have to say, I watched Turtle Boy's show last night, had the opportunity to do that. What a fantastic show. I have to say it by far is the best live show that he has done so far on his channel, especially in the Karen Read case. So kudos to him. I was looking at the video just before I came live. It has like 80,000 views on it and well-deserved. It was an amazing show. It was like picture perfect show. It literally could not have gotten any better. And they covered him and Mark covered such a wide variety of testimony that happened over this last week. And, like we know, I mean, these are dirty cops. They're dirty, dirty cops. They're all in on this. The Mass State Police Department needs a complete reset, redo. And, you're clearly seeing this. And Michael Proctor needs to be, immediately fired. But they won't do that because that would not help the Commonwealth in this case, sticking this to Karen Read. They want, again, I've talked about this. They wanted to look at the most vulnerable person in this group of people, and they said, well, let's stick it on Karen Read. And they underestimated Karen Read because Karen Read is an extremely strong person with a strong will and a strong character, and she's not going to back down. She's not going to back down from this, and she didn't. She didn't fold and take a lesser charge, 3 to 5 years, we'll let you out. No, she's going to fight this all the way because she knows that she is 100% factually innocent of all of these frivolous sham charges that have been brought forth to her. And, I think this last week displayed how filthy and dirty all of these cops are and the extent of the length that they went to essentially manipulate all of the evidence in this case to stick it to Karen Read. We had, I thought the most compelling, I have to admit, I'm stuck between the most compelling. I think Proctor surprised me to a point. I knew what was coming, but I didn't think it was like that bad. And it was bad. But I have to say, the most interesting testimony, I think, all week that basically wrapped everything up was Trooper Paul. And that is, he's the medical examiner now. He's a crash reconstructionist expert. The reconstruction or experiments he did were subpar, if best. Someone that has taken some online classes and a few hours of accident reconstruction, he's the one that's going to now come up with the theory. We've waited 8 weeks, literally 8 weeks, for the Commonwealth to give us a theory on how Karen Read did this. And it's literally, and I'm going to use the word, it's literally preposterous. It's insane, the theory that this guy came up with, that he supposedly Karen hit him. John O'Keefe would have been facing the SUV, literally stood there, 62 feet, which you would have saw the SUV coming at you, hits him in the right arm. That's what shattered the taillight. And he said his hand, I don't know if anybody caught this. He literally said his hand was the hand that caused the dent. And I've talked about this before. In that portion of where that tailgate is, that piece of metal there is probably one of the strongest pieces of metal on the back of that tailgate, because the elasticity there is not very strong. It's a very stiff piece of metal. Like I said, if I was to hit that piece of tailgate versus hitting a fender, that fender is a large surface. If I hit that with my hand or kick it, it's probably more apt to dent versus that piece of metal. He said that his hand, and we're going to hear it tonight, he said that his hand caused that dent and the scratch up on the back of that, the upper part of the tailgate. And then I'm sitting there and I'm going, well, if John's right arm, which would have to put him closer into the SUV, and you have the piece of taillight, you have that long egated section that's here on the SUV, and then it has the tapered lens that comes in. If his arm was in, and he said that his hand caused that, wouldn't that have cracked that piece as well, or blown it all out? There's no damage on that part. And then I'm sitting there and I'm going, well, why was there no bruising on his chest, or his, up on his chest across his arm? Not even like a dislocated shoulder or a broken shoulder or collarbone broken. None of that happened. So this ridiculous theory, and we're going to hear it again tonight. I mean, it's literally ridiculous. So we'll go through some of the testimony tonight. We'll start with Bukaki on cross-examination. We're going to pull that up. Welcome in, everybody. Thank you for being here. I appreciate everybody being here. And again, just like we always do, 25% of all donations will get kicked back tonight to Karen Reed. We like to at least get $50 in the bank for Karen Reed, and we'll post that up at the end of the stream. So let's get into Bukaki. Let me just pull up that. We'll go to the cross. And I'm not going to play everything, but we'll play some snippets here. And this was the beginning of his cross with Alan Jackson. And this guy, I mean, just immediately right off the bat, the face is there, you know, Mr. Cocky, someone, you know, you're not going to be able to beat me down. But actually, Jackson literally tears this guy to shreds. And let's play through some of it.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sergeant Butnick, I want to start with one of the latter things that you discussed with Mr. Lally. That's specific to the ring video that y'all talked about this morning. Do you have that in mind?
I do.
The search warrant that produced, and just so we're clear, I'm talking about the specific ring video
I
or
think
series
it's
of
funny,
videos.
Just watching Will and I's face, like we went in and we're like, we're just going to be expressionist. We're going to be blank. And we just look so serious here. And I'm eyeballing the jury. I just want to see what the jury's doing.
That were associated with One Meadows, John O'Keefe's home.
Okay.
Okay. You didn't write the search warrant for those ring videos, did you?
I did not.
You were not the affiant for those search warrants.
I was not.
Who was the author of the search warrant and the affiant?
It was Trooper Mike Proctor.
Oh, you're
Who
welcome.
received the
Yeah, thanks for
actual
being
ring
here.
video or videos from the Ring Corporation?
It was Trooper Mike Proctor received it.
And who ultimately either logged those into evidence or controlled those once they were received from the Ring Corporation?
Lego man.
I
Yeah.
believe it was Trooper Mike Proctor.
And ultimately, Sergeant Butnick, you did note that in addition to just the physical videos themselves, that login information and login keystrokes, et cetera, were requested from the Ring Corporation as well, correct?
No, I think a lot of it is this, Mary. You know, a lot of it is this. You have to understand, they all have attorneys. So they're all trying to find the easiest way out. And if you even just go back to Jennifer McCabe, well, that's what Trooper Proctor must have wrote on the report. I didn't say it like that. That's what Trooper Proctor is saying. This is guidance from their attorneys. Distance yourself far enough from this guy because they knew what was coming in his testimony. All the vile shit that he said about Karen Reed was going to come out. And I'm telling you, the guidance from their attorneys, and I actually asked, who did I ask this? I asked Mark this when I was on with Turtle Boy and Will. I said, you know, are they distancing themselves? He said, for sure, because they knew all this was going to start coming out. So if I can distance myself and say that Proctor's the leader of all of this, he's the one that did it, that's where the spotlight's going to land. It's not going to make them look so guilty in the end. But obviously we know the manipulation and lies that they're all involved in here.
There was discussion with
Thank you,
Ring
Lisa. Appreciate
asking for those logs.
I'll call it, is it correct to say an activity log?
That's what was requested,
I think
yes,
this is
activity
big,
log,
too.
yes.
So ultimately, the activity log.
I'm going to skip around a little bit. It's not really in any particular order, but we will get to the shame on you part, of course. I mean, that right there was the best stick by Alan Jackson.
Show who logs in, who accesses the data, things of that nature, correct? Or at least that was the hope.
Yeah, I mean, Angel's got it.
That is what was requested.
All right. It would also show logging in and executing deletions, manipulating the log files, things of that nature, correct?
That is what was requested, yes.
When you reviewed those log or activity logs, there was no evidence revealed that my client ever logged into that account, correct?
There was no activity logs provided by Ring.
So you have zero, hang on. Isn't it true that Ring contacted Trooper Proctor and indicated that they had created a Dropbox folder that contained the evidence that had been sought in the search warrant?
Objection.
Sustained.
Isn't it true that the search warrant return specified account information, video recordings, and number 3, activity logs associated with the video recordings?
No, they're just protecting
all
him,
times
Mary.
Displayed in
I have to
UTC.
disagree. They all knew about this. They were all in the text messages with Proctor. They were all in the text messages with Proctor. They knew about this. And they're just protecting their own asses now because they know at the end, this guy's going to get the slam. He's out. The minute this trial's over, his ass is fired. And it's funny. I was looking at all the, I've been collecting the Heralds, and it's funny. I posted this up and like, who collects newspapers? I do. This is pretty amazing stuff. I mean, all things and accounts are going to point to this guy in the end. He's going to be the big fall guy. Proctor exam. Hall of Shame. I like this one a lot. This one's good. There was another one, the misogynist one, but I didn't get my hands on it. I wasn't able to get over there. Mass State Police bombshell. And then this was the most recent one, the sideswipe. Paul says John O'Keefe got sideswiped. That's hardly. We started off with a 1999er. Let me just pull that up real quick. Reese's mom says, thank you. We'll start that off, and our running total, 25% of your donation will get kicked back to Karen Reed tonight. And she says, Karen Reed is not guilty. And I 100% agree with you. I mean, according to Federo and Melanie Little, when I got to see them outside of court the other day, they said it's going to be the quickest acquittal that they have ever seen. And I hope it is. Because I'm being honest with you, I want this to end. I think the Commonwealth has dragged this on further than it needs to go. All of these ridiculous witnesses, they could have put a lot of these people, all the troopers should have been up there first. And they didn't even have to have all these friends that came on that were at the waterfall that weren't there very long. And yeah, we established how many drinks they had. It's ridiculous. I mean, you're just dragging this on and on and on. And I think that was to beat down and tire this jury out. And then, get them to finally these troopers, because Lally knew how bad this was going to be once they all got up on the stand. And obviously we saw that with Proctor. I mean, he's the biggest piece of shit, I would say, in all of this. Clearly, I mean, look what he said about Karen in those text messages. But we'll go on here.
I'm not aware of that, no.
Do you recall that activity logs were in fact provided from the Ring Corporation?
I do not recall that, no.
Okay. May I approach briefly?
Yes.
I thought the ring, this was interesting.
Take a look, Sergeant, at that paragraph with my fingers on it.
And I like when we get into what he said what he literally told Good Samaritan Hospital, but he says that, no, I said that that John O'Keefe possibly could have been a domestic. And, he goes on to lie about that and says, well, I told the medical examiner that, not Good Samaritan. I'm like, no, you told Good Samaritan. They wouldn't just say that. Let me just pull this up. Lizzie says, I was watching his chest, heavy breathing while Jackson was questioning him. What were you noticing while he was on the stand? He had a big attitude. I noticed that he seemed to come off in a very kind of prickish way, that I'm bulletproof. You're not going to be able to beat me. I'm smarter than you kind of attitude. But, like I said, Lizzie, it's a very different experience when you're inside of the courtroom. I think you go in with some certain type of agenda. My agenda was to watch the jury for most of the part. So I think at some points when there wasn't any type of presentation, and obviously I'm a very visual guy, when there wasn't any type of visual presentation going on, I was kind of tuned out a little bit. But when they went to the screen is where I became more engaged. And I just wanted to see, I was listening to the line of questioning and I was watching the jury's reaction. That's really what I wanted to focus on. And I can remember all of their faces. I can remember pretty much all of their faces and how they were reacting. And that's kind of how I took in court. And I watched the reporter's box. I would look at Bev. I would watch the attorneys. I was literally right behind the Karen's IT guy, so I could see what they were going to be bringing up in their presentations and things that they wanted to talk about. So that was a very great experience too. And then just to watch Jackson. I mean, Jackson's just top notch, super top notch. But that's kind of my experience and all of that. Donna, thank you for the $1.99. We'll round that up to $2. I think we're at 22 total right now. And again, any donation that comes in tonight will kick back to Karen Reed's. 25% will get kicked back to Karen Reed's Defense Fund. I'd just like to get to at least $50 so you can make a $50 donation. If we don't get that tonight, we'll just carry over the total into the next stream. All right, let's keep playing a little bit more here.
Third paragraph down the middle of the page, and review that to yourself and let me know when you're finished.
All right, we'll speed this up for time. I want to hear him talk about what he said supposedly to the medical examiner. I think that's coming up soon. But that might actually what we're getting into here. Oh, no, this is the ring. Speed this up for time. Well, he's slow reading because he goes, how am I gonna explain this and keep covering this with lies and bullshit? That's what he's doing. How am I, in his head, he's processing. How am I going to spin this? How am I going to spin this? How can I spin this?
Have you had an opportunity to review that?
Yes.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, let's get that.
Does this refresh your recollection as to the items received from the Ring Corporation?
That is the first time I saw that document, so it does not refresh my recollection. I simply read it.
So do you have a recollection as you sit here that in fact, during the course of your investigation, the three items that you received from the Ring Corporation were the account information, the video recordings, and quote, activity logs associated with the video recordings, all times displayed in UTC?
To the extent of its availability, as it says in that document.
Okay. The long and short of it is, during the entire course of your investigation,
This guy is so cocky.
you never revealed that investigation never revealed any evidence whatsoever that my client ever even accessed the account information for the Ring account associated with this search warrant, correct?
Nothing provided by Ring proved or suggested or proved any evidence of that type of activity, no.
Thank you. Trooper Proctor, you were
That's what it is,
notified.
answer.
I am not Trooper Proctor.
I'm sorry.
That was sick.
No, you're not. Sergeant Buchnick.
Sergeant Buchanan.
How do I say it?
Buchanan.
That was an awesome rattle by AJ. He wanted to rattle him and get him going, and he knew that he could pull it out of him, and there it was. Good stuff all around. And you can see he got pissed, and he's got him now.
I'll give that
Can't.
a shot.
It's fine.
He's got him.
Buchanan.
Yes,
Is that better?
that's better. Thank you.
If I screw it up again, please. On January 29th, you were notified about a Boston police officer found gravely injured outside the home of 34 Fairview at about 6:40 in the morning. Was that your testimony?
That is not.
What time were you notified?
I was not notified it was a Boston police officer.
So you didn't have that information upon the first notification?
I did not.
Okay, what information did you have?
There was a male party in the snowbank, possibly of a heart attack.
At what point did you learn that the individual was in fact a sworn Boston police officer?
I do not know exactly when I learned that he was a Boston police officer.
It was during that day or the following day?
It was most likely that day, either. Yeah.
Fair enough. Trooper Proctor was ultimately assigned as the, what did you call him? Not lead investigator, but case officer?
That's correct.
He was assigned on the 29th, correct?
He was on call from 7 a.m. on January 28th until 7 a.m. on January 29th.
So his assignment was, he was assigned on the 29th because he was on call.
He was on call. His assignment took effect when the schedule came out back in mid-December.
Okay. Well, he wouldn't be assigned to this investigation until there was a need for the investigation, right? That's all I'm getting to. I mean, once the call came in, he was the assigned case agent.
Once the calls come in, the person that's on call is automatically assigned that case.
All right. Did you personally, as his supervisor, did you personally respond to 34 Fairview at any point on January 29th?
No, I did not.
Did Trooper Proctor, at your direction or on his own, ever respond to 34 Fairview Road at any time on January 29th?
No, he did not.
Based on your initial investigation, and I'm talking about going way back, Sergeant, on your initial investigation.
Real quick, let me just read this Cash App. Katie, thank you so much for the $10. We'll add that to the total. I think we're at 37 total right now. Thank you.
By 10 or 10:30 in the morning, 10.
So here's the funny thing about this. He's saying that he was not notified that it was a Boston police officer, but he's going to perjure himself. Because I was just asking my girlfriend, I said, wait a minute. Let me back up here. He said that he was not aware that it was a Boston police officer that had been hit and being out in the snow. That's not correct. Because he was in the text messages with Proctor 16 hours in. So he knew. He knew. And we got that out later during Proctor, because when Alan Jackson started on his cross, we knew that they were all in text messages. Him, Tully, and Proctor.
40 in the morning.
He bagged himself.
It was your belief that Mr.
He knew.
O'Keefe had been struck in the face
he's
by
lying.
a person. That was your initial understanding of the circumstances surrounding the investigation, correct?
My initial understanding was that the defendant stated that she hit him. We did not know the.
Sergeant, you hadn't even met my client at that point. You hadn't interviewed a single witness
That's a
by
lie.
10:41 in the morning, correct?
When he said that I didn't know it was a Boston, that's a lie. He knew. Because Proctor already had text messages going 16 hours in.
Not one witness.
That's not correct. We had already interviewed the first responders.
Okay, when I say witness, I'm talking about civilian witnesses. So at 10:41, you hadn't interviewed a person at 34 Fairview or associated civilians associated with this incident, correct?
At that point, no civilians have been interviewed, no.
But at 10:41, Sergeant, you contacted Good Samaritan Hospital to inform them
what I
that,
wanna
quote,
hear.
Mr. O'Keefe was struck in the face with a cocktail glass, end quote, correct?
I do not recall contacting Good Samaritan Hospital.
May I approach?
Yes.
Well, guess what, buddy? Oh, here's a thought, and we're gonna get through this, and then we'll move on to some more testimony. Here's a thought. So I'm outside the courthouse the other day, and I get ready to leave. It was the day that Melanie and Mark was there. And I get ready to leave, and I'm packing my stuff in the car. Oh, thank you, Heather. I appreciate it. Heather, member for 2 months, for 8 months, 8-month membership. Look at that. Use that chat. Thank you so much. Said so proud of how far you've come. Well, thank you. We still have a lot of work to do here. And I appreciate it. Thank you for being a member. Thank you for being here. So here's a thought. So like I said, I'm leaving the courthouse the other day, packing my gear inside my car, and I have this truck pull up. This guy gets out, comes up to me and goes, hey, I'm not going to say his name, but he goes, hey, I'm blank from Canton. And I went, oh, here we go. So I'm starting to look around and try to see if I can grab my phone, because if I start getting harassed or something, I'm going to pull my phone out and start recording. He says, hey, riddle me this. He said, why is it that over the couple of weeks that all of this taillight was found, and he said to me, that snow was all melted within like a couple of days, because it had gotten up to like the 50s or close to the 50s, he said, after that storm. He said, why would no one walking by, a pedestrian, and I'm going to tell you, I've been down 34 Fairview multiple times. A lot of people walk that neighborhood at all hours. That you're going to tell me that someone wasn't out walking their dog and they didn't see taillight? Or how about this? Why wouldn't Brian Albert Sr. or anybody that lived at 34 Fairview, knowing what happened literally on your lawn, days or weeks before, that a Boston police officer was dead and dying and dead on your front lawn, that you wouldn't walk out on your front lawn and look to see like what happened, knowing that you're a former police officer, to go out there and stand there and try to reconstruct what happened? That you didn't leave your house in 4 weeks and go outside and drive by your street to your house, that you wouldn't have spotted that and called someone? So it's bullshit. It's all bullshit. And I went, holy shit, that's pretty logical. I never really even thought that, because I think people just overthink. I mean, after a couple of days, you're probably going to leave your house and you're going to want to go eat or go out or have to go to work or whatever you have to do, that you wouldn't just drive by and go, oh, look at, there's all that taillight there. I wonder if that's evidence of the accident. Well, it was never there because it didn't happen, and they went back and they planted it. They brought it all there. So anyway, let's play a little bit more of this and then we'll move on from Bukkake. Yeah, 100%, Char. 100%. So I appreciate that guy from Canton that came up and talked to me. Thank you. And it was nice meeting you, by the way. He said everybody in Canton thinks this is a sham.
Take a look at this document, and if you wouldn't mind, pay special attention to the second page, the bottom paragraph where it's tabbed in pink.
Lisa, thank you so much on PayPal. I appreciate that. $40 on PayPal. Thank you, Lisa. We'll add that to the total. She says, I love your comprehensive coverage of the Karen Read trial. Karen Read is obviously innocent. Thank you so much for the 40. We'll add that to the total, and we'll kick 25% of that back to Karen Read tonight. Let's get through this and then move on. We got a lot of stuff to go through. And I have some kind of, not shocking, but some very interesting things coming up that I kind of saw today when I was investigating something. Heather, thank you for the $4.99. She says, hashtag free Karen Read. Thanks for all the amazing coverage on this case. You keep me up to date better than anyone. Thank you, Heather. And thank you for being here. And I appreciate that. So let's add another $4. So $44, $45 to the running total that we have. Shock and horror. That's right. I love it. Did you watch Turtle Boys live last night? That was amazing. It was so good. So good. Love watching him work. Killed it. Absolutely killed it. No, not 42 total. We had, let's see, the last that you put up was a lot more than 42. So we had 37 total. We're going to add 40 to that. And then we're going to add another 5. So 37 plus 40 plus 5. We're at 82. 82 total. It was so good, wasn't it, Lisa? It was phenomenal. I mean, it couldn't have got any better than that. Couldn't have got any better than that last night. All right, let's keep rolling through here. I want to talk about when Alan Jackson's going to catch him with, he did say it's a Good Samaritan. He's just trying to whittle his way out of this. We'll get to that, and then we're going to move on. We have a lot of other testimony I want to get to. I want to get to Proctor. Now he's going, what am I going to say here? What am I going to do? What kind of questions is he going to ask me? How can I cover this up? That's what they're doing. That's what he's doing. All right. How am I going to get my way out of this one? Oh, by the way, I'm in the studio tonight because it's actually cool in here. Apparently, tomorrow is supposed to be pressurizing the system, and then I believe testing it, then certifying it, and then they're supposed to fire it up on Tuesday. I hope that happens because I want to get back in here permanently. I miss my little studio. I worked very hard on it, and I literally have an empty seat with a microphone and a camera that's going to be set up pretty soon. And I need guests. That's it. And it's going to be a game changer. We're going to have live people in here. It's going to be a game changer. And I'm going to have all the fabulous people that I can get in the local area to come in and sit down and tell us their story about the Free Karen Read movement and what got them involved. I want to have Tom in here. I have some other people that I have in mind. I'd love to get Aiden in here. But, I'm just waiting. I just want it to be comfortable in here for everybody when they come in. But, we're in the studio tonight. It's nice and cool in here. It's not bad. But I want to get back in here. That's why I got this place. All right, let's go. It's not working yet, Sarah. It's the next couple of days. It's supposed to fire it up. It's taking a long time, but my landlord reassured.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
All right, let's watch Alan catch him here, and then we'll move on.
Having reviewed this, does this refresh your recollection that you contacted Good Samaritan Hospital and gave them an assessment, at least based on your investigation at that time?
That is not true.
What did you say to Good Samaritan?
Funny how he shook his head yes to confirm and then says, that is not true. It's almost like his subconscious was saying, yeah, I did. But then he goes, that is not true. Could that be a subconscious, what am I looking for? Movement? His brain is saying yes, but he's fighting it and says, no, that's not true.
Samaritan Hospital.
I never spoke to Good Samaritan Hospital. That document is for the medical examiner's office.
I'm not asking you where the document is from. I'm asking you if the document says Trooper Yuri Buchanan called back at 10:41 stating the case is now being treated as a suspicion.
The objection sustained.
Did you call back to Good Samaritan Hospital and say that the investigation was being treated as a suspicious due to a domestic situation? Did you say that?
I never spoke to Good Samaritan Hospital.
Did you say that there's a possibility that D was struck in the face with a cocktail glass?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did you ever contact anybody at any medical facility and indicate that the investigation was being treated as a suspicious, in quotation marks, because the victim appeared to have been struck in the face by a cocktail glass?
Objection.
Allow that. Did you ever say that?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, I did say that to the medical examiner's operations desk.
Okay, so when I was asking you if you ever said it to Good Sam, you said, no, that's not true.
Mark, thanks for the $5 on PayPal. We'll add that to the total. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it. Thank you.
It's never happened. You were correcting me on the fact that it happened at the medical examiner's office, not at Good Sam.
I responded and answered your question honestly, yes.
Okay, so honestly, you did, in fact, at 10:41 a.m. indicate to another professional involved in the investigation that the circumstance was being treated as a physical assault at that point, correct?
Thanks,
I
Mark.
communicated our suspicions to the medical examiner's office.
And that was at 10:41 or thereabouts in the morning, correct?
That's correct.
Your initial investigation during those obviously critical hours, the beginning hours, led you to believe that there was at least a good possibility. You indicated that you made a phone call, that it was a physical altercation that led to John O'Keefe's death, correct?
That's correct, yes.
What steps did you take, sir, in those moments, to determine whether someone in the house at 34 Fairview
Zero.
may have been involved in that physical
Zero.
altercation that you suspected at the time?
As investigations develop, we followed the evidence and statements made. The steps I took was Trooper Proctor and I proceeded to an eyewitness who was also present at the scene when the victim was discovered and interviewed.
See, that's Mary. And again, I don't want to pick on you. That's why I have to disagree with you. He knew he was in on this the whole time. Hear what he said? Trooper Proctor and I, they were butted up in this. They were with this all the way. That's why I have to disagree that you're saying, oh, well, he's just kind of finding out about this now. It seems like Proctor was the one leading it and everything is spilling out from above. They knew. They were hand in hand on this. They were in on this.
Viewed Ms. McCabe.
And
that's Proctor's ball.
prior to interviewing Ms. McCabe, by the way, that was at Ms. McCabe's home, correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Even though you believe that there may have been a physical altercation, you didn't ask anybody to come down to the station. Is that right? Any of the witnesses?
That's correct.
And you did not seek to actually go to the physical location of 34 Fairview in those next few hours
That's correct.
or the next few days, correct?
Not myself, no.
As a matter of fact, Trooper Proctor did not either, did he?
No, he did not.
You didn't secure the interior of the house as a potential crime scene. You certainly know how to do that, right?
That's a compound question. Do you want me to answer whether I did it or whether I know how to do it?
Well, I'll ask the question. If you can answer it, please answer it.
Okay.
Can you answer that
Correct.
question?
I can answer that question.
Why don't you answer both of them then?
First portion is we did not secure the home as a crime scene. And the second portion, yes, I do know how to do that.
And you did.
That infuriates me. That infuriates me. That should have been step one in this investigation. Secure the house. There was a lot of people coming and going from the house. Secure the house. Let's start taking some statements. Who, why, what, where, and how. Pretty easy detective work, sir. You're a boss. Pretty simple investigate. I mean, I'm not a cop. I'm not an investigator, but that's probably you probably could put a 5th grader out there and say, hey, what would you do here? Well, I probably want to go talk to those people in the house. Probably want to go talk to some of those people in the house. All right. We're going to pull away from Bukaki here. Let's get into a little bit of Trooper Michael Proctor. And let me just see, make sure I'm on the right tab. Let me just do this real quick. Lizzie, thank you so much. I was yelling at the TV right there, right? Yeah, me too. I mean, what the hell? Just go up to the house and hello? Did anybody see anything? Who was here? What were they doing? When did people leave? What time? How is that guy out on the front lawn being taken away in an ambulance right now? How did he get there? Do you know anything about that? Do you know who he is? Was he in the house? Pretty simple stuff. Pretty simple investigation. All right, let's get to Trooper Proctor. Here we go.
That she would just die, correct?
The figure of speech.
You wanted her to, the figure of speech is you wanted her to kill herself,
No,
right?
no, it's not.
Trooper Proctor, Karen Reed, in your investigation, had quickly become a very serious problem for you, hadn't she?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did you believe that Karen Reed was a problem or an issue for your investigation?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
No, absolutely not.
In your words, quote, all the powers that be want answers ASAP. That's what you texted on January 29th, right?
Yes,
That put a lot of pressure on you, didn't it, Trooper Proctor?
there's a lot of pressure in every case, sir.
This case involves a
If there's a lot of pressure in every case, and you're going to hear it here, he said, I lost my emotions. I lost my emotions. You're trained for this type of work, sir. You shouldn't be losing control of yourself. You should be level-headed. You should be clear. You should be investigating. You should be going where the evidence leads you. And you said that you lost your head. You said that you lost your head.
A Boston
That's not a
cop
professional.
whose family you were actually connected to, correct?
Loosely.
Chris Albert, loosely.
Yes.
Julie Albert, loosely.
Yes.
Colin Albert, loosely.
Yes.
Kevin Albert, loosely.
Yes.
Loose enough to leave his badge and his gun in your cruiser when after a night of drinking, right?
Objection.
Sustained.
Bang, bang. Put your head down, sir. Shame
agreed
on
in your
you.
group chat that you needed to, quote, make this cut and dry because another cop was involved. Those are your words, right?
Objection.
Where is this?
This was referred to in earlier text messages, group chats this morning.
So is that right? Did you say that, sir?
I did text that. I don't know if it's in the exact context. But yes, those were my words.
Group chat.
Yes, that was in the group chat.
Your friends wrote this whole thing in their words, stinks, correct?
Yes, I interpret that as a joke.
You believed, Trooper Proctor, that your life would be much easier if Karen Reed was just dead, didn't you?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
No. Like I had said, it was a figure of speech. My emotions got the best of me based on,
Your
the fact that Miss
That's
Reed
you.
hit Mr. O'Keefe with her vehicle and left him to die on the side of the road.
Right,
So my emotions
sure.
got the best of me with that figure of speech.
Well, let's talk about your figures of speech.
Yeah.
During the course of your investigation, your figures of speech include the following. She's a bitch.
Objection.
So I'm going to just censor the C word here because I don't want to get whacked. So I'm going to just play this out a little bit. I'm going to try to censor the C word. I apologize, but I don't want to get whacked.
Right?
Yes.
A whack job, correct?
Yes.
A retard, right?
Yes.
Her balloon knot leaks, right?
Yes.
No ass, correct?
Yes.
She's fucked, according to you, right?
Yes.
Ass leaker. That was the word you used, a figure of speech, right?
Correct.
A girl who shits herself, right?
Correct.
And then fuck her, correct?
Correct.
Would you agree, Trooper Proctor?
I think he said
that
it this
you
time
have
around.
dehumanized Karen Reed during the course of your investigation with comments and words like this?
Objection.
I'll give you this one, Mr. Jackson.
Would you agree with that?
I would say based off that language,
Yeah. Stumble around,
yes.
buddy.
And you admitted in your own words that the cop homeowner wasn't going to, quote, catch any shit, right?
Correct.
Corrupt to the bone.
Because you were out to quote, make this cut and dry.
And keep in mind, if he's doing that here, and he's done this in this investigation, and we already know Brian Walsh's attorney is already starting to file motions, and that's scary. But what other things has he said in other investigations? What other things has he said about other potential witnesses or potential suspects in other cases? This guy should have been fired immediately the minute he got off the stand. But they can't do that because he's the lead investigator and he's the glue that holds all of this together. And this is the most ridiculous case that I've ever come across in a courtroom since I've been watching cases. Karen Reed should not be sitting in that courtroom right now. These cops have any dignity, they go out and actually do their job and figure out who killed John O'Keefe at 34 Fairview that night. It certainly wasn't Karen Reed.
Isn't that right?
The homeowner wasn't going to catch any shit because Mr. Albert had nothing to do with Mr. O'Keefe's death.
Right.
Because you were going to make sure that the case was cut and dry. Those were your words, right?
Objection.
Sustained.
And Trooper Proctor, it would be far easier for you to pin it on the girl who's just a whack job cunt, in your words, who you hope just kills herself, right?
I love
Objection.
Jackson.
Sustained.
Get him, Jackson.
Shame on you, sir.
Bang.
Objection.
All right. So jurors, disregard that. I've told you before, lawyers can't make.
And that's to stick it in those jurors' heads how vile this guy is. Even though Bev's going to strike it, it doesn't matter. They heard it. And I guarantee you, every single piece of violence crap that came out of his mouth stuck with that jury. And look at Karen Reed's face here.
Make comments. They can ask questions. And Mr. Jackson, you know better than
I
that.
understand. That's all I have.
Mr. Lally?
All right, we're going to move on here. We got a little bit more here from Proctor. All right, here we go. A little bit more.
Trooper Proctor, I'm going to ask you if you wouldn't mind to turn to tab 2 in the binder in front of you. Can you take a look at the face page of what's under tab 2 and tell me if you recognize that?
Yes, sir. It's a private text thread with high school friends.
And this includes 9 participants, 9 chat participants that you engaged with.
That's correct.
9.
Those participants include people by the name of Bird, Whitey, and Doc, correct?
Correct.
That's what he
And then
said
there's
to
some
a
other
friend.
folks in there. They're identified by at least the last 4 digits of their phone number, correct?
Yes.
So this is a group text or a group chat with you and 8 of your high school friends about this investigation, correct?
Yes.
Trooper Proctor, you never thought when you were engaged with these other 8 individuals that this particular set of chats would ever become public, did you?
No, I do not.
I want to take a look at page 2527. If you could turn, that's on the bottom right of the document in tab 2. Do you recognize, I'm sorry, do you have that page in front of you?
Yes, sir.
You recognize that this chat, this group chat was taking place on January 29th at about 10:52 p.m., correct?
Correct.
And the person that I'll identify as 5051, that's the last 4 digits of that phone number, indicates Chip, name of that BPD cop, correct?
Correct.
First of all, you indicated on Monday that you're Chip, is that right?
Yes, sir.
You responded at 10:53 p.m., John O'Keefe, is that right?
Yes, sir.
So you were willing to tell just a few hours into an investigation of the death of a Boston police officer, you were willing to tell a bunch of high school buddies details about the investigation, including the name of the victim, correct?
Couldn't wait.
At this point, it was 16 hours later, sir. Not a few.
16 is a few hours, correct? I'm not talking about days later.
It was about 16 hours later, sir.
Correct. And you identified John O'Keefe as the Boston police officer who is fallen in the yard at 34 Fairview, correct?
Correct.
You also informed, if you will skip to page 2529, you also informed these same folks, these same high school buddies that, quote, all the powers that be want answers ASAP, correct?
Yes.
You knew, Trooper Proctor, that there was brass that wanted this case wrapped up quickly and efficiently. Isn't that right?
Objection.
Oh, well,
His
that, is
superior.
that what you were thinking?
No, the people wanted answers, sir.
They wanted it. They didn't just want answers. They wanted answers ASAP. What does
Yeah.
ASAP mean?
As soon as possible.
That's as soon as possible.
Right. And you were texting this to your high school friends, again, 16 hours into this investigation, right?
Correct.
And you knew at that time, Trooper Proctor, that this was not going to implicate in any way, shape, form, or fashion another cop, correct?
Correct.
In this text exchange, let's turn to 2532, actually. Do you have that in front of you?
I do.
In this text exchange at 10:56 p.m., your buddy Bird writes, I'm sure the owners of the house will receive some shit, correct?
I don't think they'll need to, Denise. I think that he's pretty much sunk himself. They don't need anything more out of him. I think what they're going to do is get Their medical exam. I mean, they said they only need like 3 days, 3 or 4 days, I think. And I think they know that this jury's tired. So if they went on for weeks and weeks and weeks, it's just going to burn this jury out. I think every single witness that has gone up for the Commonwealth has literally burned themselves. They don't need to sit here and go on and on and on. They don't need to bring him back. He's cooked himself. He's fried. He's going to get fired. He's going to get fired. But they can't fire him right now for this trial. Oh my God. If they fired him right now, can you imagine what that would do to this trial? They want to stick this all the way to the end. They're going all the way. The Commonwealth is going all the way. But Judge Bebb's going to go all the way to the end with this. This is not over. They're not going to let Karen Read just walk out of that courtroom without going all the way to the end and letting the jury decide if she's guilty or innocent. But I'm telling you, I mean, they don't need to call him back. He sunk himself. This guy forever is going to be literally the face of the piece of shit that he is. All right, let's play a little bit more here and then we'll move on to some other testimony.
Correct.
How did you take that to mean? Did you take that to mean that he could get in trouble?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what my friend was getting at.
Well, you had some idea.
Yeah,
Said the owners of the house isn't going to get any shit for this, right?
That's how I interpreted it.
Yeah, you
I agree,
interpreted it
Clark.
like he's not going to get in any trouble. He's not going to be a suspect, correct?
Correct.
And he's not going to be implicated in any way. Is that right?
Correct.
And your answer was one word, correct?
Yes.
What was that word?
Nope.
And then you followed that up with an explanation as to why you said no, didn't you?
That wasn't the explanation why I said nope. I simply said homeowner was a Boston cop too, meaning Mr. O'Keefe was a Boston cop. The homeowner was a Boston cop as well.
The question that preceded your answer, nope, the homeowner's a Boston cop too, was the homeowner's going to get some shit for this, correct?
That's not what I meant with that text.
That's what you wrote.
Not what I meant, sir.
All right, let's take it in order. Question. Oh goodness, the homeowner's going to get some shit for this. Answer,
Wow, 4
nope.
juries.
Next text, he's a Boston cop too. That doesn't sound like an explanation for your nope.
Right.
No, that's just saying he's a Boston cop as well. Mr. O'Keefe is a
And that's
Boston
why
cop.
he's not going to get any shit. Correct, Trooper Proctor?
Well, he's not going to receive any shit, sir, because he had Mr.
I
Albert,
agree,
the
Pete.
homeowner, had nothing to do with Mr. O'Keefe's death.
And you knew this 16 hours into your investigation.
Yes.
Less than a day.
Yes.
To your satisfaction.
To my satisfaction
And
and
you
to the
hadn't
members
been
of my
to the
unit.
crime scene.
So let him finish. We didn't get finish
Some-
your answer.
To my satisfaction and to all the members of my unit who investigated that day.
Objection. Calls for speculation.
So I'm going to let it stand. Trooper,
I didn't know that you could object while you're doing cross. That's interesting. I had no idea that you could do that. I thought that was interesting. I was kind of like, what? Alan Jackson just objected? Because it's like you said, it calls for speculation. He's speculating. I wish I knew where he talked about Yannetti, and I it might have been here.
We're going to follow the evidence wherever it takes us. You didn't, did you?
I did not write that.
You didn't write, yeah, we're going to make sure that we investigate this thing fully and thoroughly before making any decisions. You didn't say that, did you?
Yeah, it's
I
gonna
did
be
not-
hot in that
You
courtroom.
wrote, yeah, but there will be some serious charges brought on the girl. Isn't that right?
Correct.
And the reason you wrote that is because you knew, as the text above it says, this has to be cut and dry because it involves cops, right?
Objection.
I'm going to allow that. Is that the reason you wrote it?
No, Your Honor.
And then you indicated, we're going to put serious charges on the girl. Who did you mean by the girl, by the way?
The defendant.
Karen Read?
Yes, sir.
So the way that you were going to make it cut and dry, pretty simple. Just pin it on the girl, right?
Objection.
Is that right?
Absolutely not. Follow the facts and the evidence from that day on the 29th. And everything led
Yannetti.
to Miss Reed hitting Mr. O'Keefe with her vehicle.
But that wasn't the question that you were answering, was it? we're going to follow the evidence and make sure we do this thoroughly. The question you were answering was, I assume you guys, you, Trooper Proctor, and your team are going to, quote, make it cut and dry,
Mm-hmm.
since it involves
Had the fix
cops,
in.
meaning
The fix
Brian
was there all along.
Albert, correct?
Incorrect.
Karen
Doesn't
looked at
matter
the
to me
jury.
if the homeowner's a cop, if the victim's a police officer. Myself and everyone in my office investigated this case that Saturday, had an overwhelming amount of evidence that Miss Reed struck Mr. O'Keefe. So it didn't matter to us what their occupation was.
We'll see. Let's keep reading, shall we? 5051.
All right, we're going to move on a little bit more. I just want to get that piece in there as well. But I mean, it just clearly tells you right there. Proctor had the fix in right away. The fix was in. Because who did he talk to? The McAlberts. And Jen McCabe was the ringleader of all of this. And until, she did that Google search at 2:27 a.m. And they knew they didn't have a way out of this until that morning when Karen Reed said, all of this pretty much going on, and on top of everything, I cracked my taillight. Ding, 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 ding. Because I hit John's car. Ding, 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 cracked my taillight. Then the light bulbs went off. Now we can start frameworking this thing. So when I sit down and I talk to investigators and I tell them everything, this is the way that we're going to start leading this to get our way out of it. That's exactly what they did. That's exactly what they did to Karen. All right. This was a quote here. This was a response after Trooper Proctor's testimony from Governor Maura Healey. We'll see if she comes through. I don't know. We'll see. But here we go. Here's her quote.
Governor Healey says that they're terrible and she is disgusted
Sure.
by the language used. State Police Trooper Michael Proctor is the lead investigator on the high-profile Karen Reed case. And while testifying in her murder trial, Proctor read several text messages.
Of course he is. Of course he is, Linda. They're not going to fire him right away. If they fire him right away, that would sink the Commonwealth instantly in this case. Absolutely sink them. So they have to leave him up there for just a matter of trying to stick this case on Karen Reed. But I guarantee you, when this all goes down and it's over, this guy's fired in 2.5 seconds. Kurt, thanks for the 20. Says, why are these guys so fixated on lying? You have an accent that reminds me of my time in Boston, and I know there's a fraternity of sorts out there. Why do you think they are fixated on convicting Karen Reed? Well, because, Kurt, if you followed this case and you have followed everything that we have talked about here over the last almost year, the framing of Karen Reed, and they needed a way out of this because John O'Keefe went inside 34 Fairview that night. Now, to what extent happened to him, I don't know, but there was some type of altercation. And John O'Keefe succumbed to his injuries, and they needed a way out. So they dragged him out on that front lawn. They discarded him like trash, and they wanted to point the finger at the weakest person that wasn't part of the McAlbert clan. And who is that? Who was the last person to literally drop John O'Keefe off before he walked in that house? Karen Reed. So let's stick it on her. Well, I got something coming to you. They threw the manslaughter charge at her. She didn't falter. They threw all the other frivolous charges at her. She didn't falter. She didn't take the deal, basically. And then they wanted to whack her with second-degree murder, thinking that she's going to falter on that too, but she didn't. Stood proud, kept her chin up in the air, said, I'm not going to let these bastards sink me. And then she went out and got the best qualified attorneys that could handle this. And I don't think any other attorney could handle this case the way that these are essentially what I call the dream team has handled this case. And then you have Turtle Boy blowing this story wide open, pointing eyes on this, getting the public involved, letting know what is going on in the corruption in Canton for the world to see. And we knew what it was going to look like going into this case. We knew how the defense was going to attack these lying witnesses. And they've all lied and all perjured themselves. And in the end, I strongly believe that Karen Reed will be exonerated and be acquitted of all of the charges. Clearly. All right, let's keep playing through here.
Messages that he sent to coworkers, family, and friends about Reed. He used language considered vulgar and disparaging to women, also revealing he did not find any nudes on Reed's cell phone.
Is that appropriate for a state trooper or anyone? It's terrible. I mean, anybody looks at that. I mean, it's completely unprofessional. It does harm, frankly, to the dignity and the integrity of the work of men and women across the state police and law enforcement. So as a former attorney general and as governor, I am disgusted by that.
Well, do your job. Fire him. No pension. Out the door. See you later. Don't come back. I want to see that. If that's how you feel, fire him. And then you need to start looking in and investigating Josh Levy. You need to continue to do some more investigating here. Let's peel back and see what else is going on inside the Mass Police State Troopers. That needs an overhaul over there. All right, let's hear from, what do I got lined up next? Let's hear from Tully. Another dirty cop. Where am I? Hold 1 second. All right, here we go. Tully. Jackson, cross-examination.
Good morning, Lieutenant Tully.
Good morning.
I'm not going to go in any particular order, so forgive me if I bounce around just a little bit. You indicated that on direct examination this morning that you didn't seek a search warrant.
And anyway, I know Microdots is in here, and I want to just throw this out there. He said that didn't mean nothing. I don't know if you heard what I said earlier, and I don't know if you've all thrown this around too. Did you hear my theory on the taillight pieces and my conversation with someone outside the courthouse? I'm asking Microdots that because I'll go over it again. Because I think we overthink some things sometimes, but maybe you were in here when I explained and it made perfect sense to me. But I'll wait for Microdots to answer and I'll go over it again. If they're still in here. Go over it again, please. All right. So I was outside the courthouse of the day, very briefly, and I'll tell the story again. I was outside the courthouse the other day when Mark and Melanie showed up, getting ready to leave, and a guy comes up to me. I'm putting all my gear in the car, and he comes up to me, gets out of his truck, and I won't say his name because he said, please just leave my name anonymous, but comes up to me and he says, hey, I'm blank from Canton. And I go, oh, here we go. So I start trying to grab my phone because if the guy's going to harass me, I want to at least have it on camera. So if he says anything to me and I can post it later or whatever. He said, hey, you ever think about this? He said, you know, they find a couple of pieces of taillight that night in the snow. He said, but over the next couple of days, weeks, they find all these 45 pieces of taillight. He said, I live in Canton. He said, all that snow was pretty much melted in a matter of days. He said, you wouldn't think that someone out walking their dog, and believe me, I've been down 34 Fairview at all hours, and there are multiple people out there walking their dogs, taking a walk, whatever it may be, that someone wouldn't have walked by and saw all those pieces of taillight and alerted someone. Hey, there was a man that was just essentially killed out here a couple of nights ago. I walked by. Here's some red plastic. Maybe this is part of something. Let's call an investigator out or call the Canton PD to come out here and check it out. Here, I'll go one further. Brian Albert Sr., just after a couple of days, wouldn't walk out his house as a former police officer, stand on his front lawn and look and say, let me try to reconstruct the scene. Let me think let me figure out and think how Karen Reed supposedly killed killed John O'Keefe, because that's how he would be thinking, that he wouldn't look down on his lawn and see pieces of taillight or pieces of taillight everywhere. Or what, you didn't leave your house in 3 or 4 weeks and drive by and go by that multiple times, pull in and out of your driveway, look at your mailbox when you drove by, got your mail, you wouldn't see those pieces of taillight and report it? Really interesting stuff. And I said, you know what? That's a good theory. I said, I think sometimes in these situations we overthink. And I'm sure maybe people have thought about this, but I know I've overthought it. And I said, that's one of the most simplest theories to come up with, that you wouldn't see that. So anyway, I digress. Let's get to Tully.
Interior.
Play a little bit of this.
Correct?
Yes.
To your knowledge, nobody under your supervision sought such a search warrant either, correct?
Correct.
You explained that in your mind, there was no probable cause to seek a search warrant for the interior of the,
Yeah,
of the
exactly.
home. Is that right?
Yes.
But you also admitted that you didn't seek consent, for which you don't have to have probable cause if you get consent, correct?
Correct.
You could ask me right now, hey, Alan, can I look at your cell phone? If I say, sure, you do your thing, right?
I could.
But for a court to order that I hand over my cell phone, you got to get a search.
No, what I got out of Tully was ready for this. He wasn't as emotionally unstable as Michael Proctor. Michael Proctor essentially knew the minute he got on the stand, his life was over. He was never going to be a police officer ever again, nor should any of these other cops that are involved in this case should never be a police officer ever again. They should all be fired and let go. But I think Tully was ready, more prepared and ready for Jackson, could keep a lot cooler than Proctor. And I don't think he faltered much in this, but Jackson got him on a few things. Another thing that was very interesting, and I think it was during Tully's testimony, was when he asked him about the distance between 34 Fairview and I believe Canton High School, which was interesting. Like he was trying to set him up for something there. And I never really figured any of that out as well.
Search warrant, sign an affidavit, and get a court to agree with it, correct?
Yes.
You've applied for myriad search warrants in your career, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Very experienced, correct?
Supposedly.
And I expect that there have
Guys
been
know how to talk,
circumstances,
dude.
Lieutenant Tully, in which you sought a search warrant and the judge says, no, I don't think there's enough here, correct?
Yes.
You don't get in trouble for that, correct?
With whom? No.
With the court.
No.
Well, it's not illegal.
Right.
It's not illegal.
You don't get
Essentially, you could just back off. Right. Is what he's saying.
sanctioned for it. You don't get your pay docked
Right.
because you don't get a search warrant
Right.
based on an affidavit, correct?
Correct.
So there's no real sanction in seeking it if you in good faith believe that there's a reason to seek it, correct?
Outside of the time that it takes to author it and put it
course.
together and go to the court, yes, there's no sanction.
Of course. But in a homicide investigation, you're not going to fail to do certain investigative tasks because it takes time. You're going to do what is necessary for the investigation, correct?
Yes.
Of course. You indicated that you did not believe that there was information sufficient that y'all had at the very initial stages of the investigation to seek a search warrant or to ask for consent, correct?
Yes.
But you did know the following. In the initial moments of the beginning of the investigation, you were aware that John O'Keefe had been invited to a party inside a home,
Yeah.
correct?
Yes.
You knew that that home was located at 34 Fairview.
Yes.
You also knew that John O'Keefe
Right there, dude. Why are you not knocking on the door? Why are you not securing the scene? I mean, this is simple questions. Like I said, a fifth grader would know what to do in the situation. They would point at the house and say, man found here on the lawn, probably came out of the house. Let's knock on that door and say, does anybody know what's going on here? Does anybody know how this guy ended up here on the lawn? I mean, it's pretty simple stuff. And that's why Jackson's making it very simple for Tully to answer here.
O'Keefe arrived at 34 Fairview, correct?
We believe so, yes.
We
You
believe.
also knew at the time that he had been, for want of a better phrase, partying with the individuals who were inside the home, correct? Expected to meet at the house.
They were at a bar previous to that, yes.
You're aware that a drinking glass was found in the yard attendant to or close to, adjacent to where Mr. O'Keefe's body was found.
Yes.
That drinking glass had been broken, correct?
Yes,
You're aware that drinking glasses are commonly found inside homes, right?
as well as bars.
As well as bars, right? But at that point, you didn't know. It's just a broken glass, correct?
It's a broken glass, correct?
You also know that he was found without a coat on.
Yes,
Are coats normally worn outside or inside?
it's user's choice.
Fair enough. 18 degrees, you would expect that if someone was outside, they'd have a coat on, correct?
I'm the kind of person that wears shorts throughout the year. I'll often go without a jacket.
All right, a true Bostonian.
Yes, sir.
He didn't have any coat, gloves, scarf, nothing like that.
Correct,
He had no winter gear on whatsoever, correct?
correct.
Under
Right, this is
ordinary
ridiculous.
circumstances, and you may be the exception, but under ordinary circumstances, if someone was out in 18-degree weather, you
All
might
right, I'm
expect
answering
that they would have
someone.
some winter garb on, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
You certainly would expect that if someone took their coat, their glove, their hat, their winter gear off, you might leave it inside the house, right? Rather than outside the house.
Objection.
I'll let you answer that, Detective Lieutenant.
It's probably predicated on where.
Real quick, Hannah says, hey, did you see the key cycle? The one highlighted is 1162, and they said their cycle started at 1164. She turned her car off and on multiple times that day. I did see that, and I'm going to be honest with you, I got a little bit lost in the key cycling. I'm not really an expert, and Mark Betterow last night on TB's live kind of explained that. TB and Mark were a little bit more in tune with it. I was a little lost on it, but I know that the key cycling didn't make sense, and I think they were trying to coordinate that with her backing up the acceleration and also the distance that you traveled from Canton to Dighton. But I think TB said the natural way of what they're thinking that she went was to go down the highway, but that wouldn't be the best to do that, particularly in a snowstorm, because the highway would be very slow. And that TB heard a rumor that Karen had took 138, which is a road that's off the highway to get back. So I was a little bit confused in that. I get a little lost, but they explained it really well. And I would just say to refer to TB's stream last night with Mark Betterow. It was really good explanation. But thank you for the $5. We'll add that to the total, and maybe someone in the chat can clarify a little bit more. I was a little lost in it. I kind of saw where the expert was going with it, but it didn't make any sense at all. It didn't make sense to me. And bottom line right here is that when he pulled up that report, the extraction from the black box, which he said that he got, there was no time and date on there. So right there, if I was looked at that as juror, I'd be going, well, there's no time and date on there. How the hell do I know that they didn't manipulate this data, or why this could be from somewhere else? I don't know. That could be from a different time. So anyway, we'll keep rolling.
Where you
through
take
here
it
a little
off,
Right.
and your relationship to the location.
Right. Reasonable assumption might be the winter gear might be inside the house.
Objection.
Is
bit.
that a
Add
reasonable
$5 to the
assumption,
total.
Detective Lieutenant?
No, Your Honor.
Yes,
It's not
we are
reasonable that he would have
138.
his jacket inside the
I
house.
love that
You
name,
wouldn't
Sally
just assume
Port.
that?
Good
Well,
stuff.
using the term "the house," you talking about any house? 34 Fairview?
Correct.
No, it's not reasonable.
All right. You didn't think it was reasonable at the time
Still don't.
to even ask, could he have had a jacket off inside the house? And I'm talking about at the time, the initial stages of the investigation.
Who am I asking this question to?
So I'm asking if you believe it was reasonable if a man is found 30 feet outside the front door of a home and he's got no winter gear on
Right.
whatsoever, that perhaps he came from inside the home,
Yeah.
not having donned his winter gear.
Objection.
I mean, come on. Like I said, let's just put a fifth grader in that situation. Hey, he has no coat on. Hey, he's missing a shoe. Hey, he's like 20 feet from that house. Maybe he came from inside there. Let's go ask them.
Can you answer that, Detective Lieutenant?
It's not reasonable, given other information I had.
Reasonable.
You also know that he didn't have a shoe on, correct?
Yes.
Where might you look for the shoe if you didn't find it out by his body initially?
Well, the question's not accurate to the facts we had at the time.
Well, the facts you had at the initial stages, I'm talking about just after 6:37, 7:30 in the morning, when the investigation was beginning. During those times, you didn't have any information about where the other shoe was, except he just didn't have a shoe on at the hospital, correct?
We didn't know there was a shoe not accounted for until after noontime.
So when you did find out that there was a shoe unaccounted for, one place to look might be outside, correct?
Yes.
And another place to look might be inside the home, correct?
We looked at the former and we located it there.
You also are aware that a body is being dragged by the shoulders, could easily lose a shoe.
There you go.
Objection.
Point, Jackson.
Sustained.
Have you ever experienced a homicide in which a body is dragged and you're aware of a shoe being pulled off while the body's being dragged?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
I don't have experience with that.
Certainly not outside the realm of possibility as a professional investigator.
It's possible.
You were also aware that, at least initially, it appeared from accounts.
So real quick, LJ is asking, what does key cycling mean? Key cycling is when you get into your vehicle, and a lot of people don't. I'm doing this, but it's every time you're pushing that, because we don't use keys anymore, and I'm old. So, but even just having your fob in the car and pushing that ignition button, that's key cycling. Turning on and off the car, that's key cycling.
That John O'Keefe may have been involved in a physical altercation, correct?
Possible.
As a matter of fact, that was reported by one of your subordinates, Yuri Buchanan, to the medical examiner's office, right?
As a possibility, yes.
As a possibility. And you're aware that your other subordinate, Trooper
Have a key
Proctor,
still?
according
awesome.
to certain information he had gotten from first responders, also believed that a physical altercation was possible, sorry, as well.
It was possible, yes.
Okay. And you also knew that the house would be a normal location to have other individuals who might have been involved in that physical altercation.
Objection.
Can you answer that, Detective Lieutenant?
An altercation could take place anywhere.
Exactly.
And people can often travel from the location of the altercation
I
miles away.
I love that. Oh, I was waiting for this. Mwah! I love it. Because he literally just burned himself. And we're going to back up because he said an altercation could happen anywhere, which means it's a logical theory that John O'Keefe was attacked inside 34 Fairview. But he's now going to expand because he knew that, one, he either fucked up or he knew that this question was coming. So he's going to go, well, an altercation could happen somewhere. And victims travel miles away from where they were. Let's back this up a little bit. I love this. This is classic.
It's possible.
All right, let me go back a little bit more. Here we go.
Just after 6:37, 7:30 in the morning, when the investigation was beginning, during those times, you didn't have any information about where the other shoe was, except he just didn't have a shoe on at the hospital, correct?
We didn't know there was a shoe not accounted for until after noontime.
So when you did find out that there was a shoe unaccounted for, one place to look might be outside, correct?
Yes.
And another place to look might be inside the home, correct?
We looked at the former and we located it there.
You also are aware that
they're not gonna do anything to put this inside that home. They're gonna deflect. That's what they're doing
a
here.
body is being dragged by the shoulders, could easily lose a shoe.
Objection.
Sustained.
Have you ever experienced a homicide in which a body is dragged and you're aware of a shoe being pulled off while the body's being dragged?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
I don't have experience with that.
Certainly not outside the realm of possibility as a professional investigator.
It's possible.
You were also aware that, at least initially, it appeared from accounts that John O'Keefe may have been involved in a physical altercation, correct?
Here it comes.
Possible.
As a matter of fact, that was reported by one of your subordinates, Yuri Buchanan,
Yep.
to the
Meaning you were in the
Examiner's
text
office, right?
messages.
As a possibility, yes.
As a possibility. And you're aware that your other subordinate, Trooper Proctor, according to certain information he had gotten from first responders, also believed that a physical altercation was possible, right? As well.
It was possible, yes.
Okay. And you also knew that the house would be a normal location to have other individuals who might have been involved in that physical altercation.
Objection.
Can
Here
you
we
answer
go.
that, Detective Lieutenant?
An altercation could take place anywhere,
Exactly.
and people can
That's-
often travel from
Right there. That's the point that Jackson was trying to get out of him. Now he's going to spin it and go, well, people often travel. I love this because he knew he screwed up.
the location of the altercation miles away
Miles.
to another location.
Or they could travel 30 feet outside
Sure.
as well, correct?
Yes.
And you got it.
Um,
That's the masterful Jackson right there. And I love it. And I call it the wheel, and you'll see it. He will try to get this answer directly when he first starts with these witnesses. And he may not get it. And then it starts coming back around because he comes back around to the first line of questioning that he wants to get from them. And he just got it. So if you went back, probably, I don't know, we've done 15 minutes of this. If you went back and listened 15 minutes, he's trying to get it out of him there, but he gets it here. And I call that the wheel. It's kind of the nickname I have for it. And I always notice that Jackson does that. And it's masterful. We'll watch a little bit more from this, and then we'll move on to my favorite, Trooper Paul. Until he knows he just gave it to him. And I love these pauses too.
in the early morning hours of, well, let's say the hours following your Massachusetts State Police initiation or engagement in this investigation, you became aware of Brian Higgins, correct?
Yes.
That name was bantied about as a potential witness in
Right.
the,
You got
in the
it,
investigation,
Massica.
correct?
Yes.
And you're aware that Brian Higgins indicated that he saw a tall, dark-haired man enter the home after he arrived, correct?
I'm not aware of that.
And the reason you're not aware of it, Lieutenant Tully, is because nobody bothered to
Oh, yeah.
interview Brian Higgins February 10th, right?
Objection.
So in that form, then it's sustained. Ask Detective Mr.
When was
Jackson.
Brian Higgins first interviewed?
February 7th?
7th, 10th?
To-
Yeah, in February, not January 29th, certainly.
Correct.
Although he was known to be inside the house, correct?
Yes.
So had you known that, had you had the information, for instance, that Brian Higgins admitted to having seen a tall, dark-haired man walk in the house, that might have changed the complexion of your investigation at that time.
Objection.
Can you answer that, Detective Lieutenant?
In the off chance that Mr. Higgins presumably had said something like that, I would certainly need more information describing this person. I would ask a series of questions to narrow it down to make sure that this person was John O'Keefe.
Right, exactly. That would just be a normal part of the investigation. You just take evidence A and link it to evidence B to
All
evidence
the
C.
evidence.
That would be the normal way to do an investigation.
We would normally follow the evidence. Correct.
All right, we're gonna move on from Tully. I just want to play a little bit of that. Explain kind of what I call the wheel. I don't know. It's kind of what I call it, and I love it. It's masterful. But I always love to watch Jackson work. So we'll move from Tully, and I want to get to my favorite. Oh, my favorite, Trooper Paul. He's a medical examiner. He's a doctor. He is a crash expert reconstructionist. Oh, it's going to be so good. But before I get to that, what I do want to play is one hero that stepped up to the plate, did not want to be involved in any of the lying, told it like it was, told how Karen Reed's taillight looked the day that it was picked up at her parents' house. And that is one officer from the Dighton Police Department, Officer Nicholas Barros. We're going to play that testimony and hear the truth. An officer that actually told the truth in this case. All right, here we go. And I love, and if you notice, watch Karen Reed's expression when Nicholas comes into the courtroom. She knows that he's going to tell the truth. Watch Karen's expression. Look at her look. And the reason this guy went in and told the truth is because he's honest. He believes in his work. He believes in the oath. He believes in protecting and serving his community. And he ain't going to lie. Getting caught up in this shit, knowing the FBI is watching, and they don't want any of this fucking dirt on their department. They don't want any part of this. They said, go tell the truth, sir. And he's going to. And I also want to commend him because I think that he's still recovering. I think, what was it, 5 or 8 months ago, he was involved in a terrible accident while on duty. He was hit on Route 44 by a drunk driver, a direct hit, and he has still been recovering. So I want to wish Nicholas Barros a speedy recovery, and hopefully he gets back to his job. If I'm incorrect on this, soon, if he isn't on back on the job as of right now. All right, let's continue to play here.
The court and jury in the case now hears for the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I did.
Sorry.
All right, whenever you're ready, Mr. Lally.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Could you please state your name and spell your last name for the
I'm
jury?
just going to double time.
Nicholas
here.
Barros, Barros,
And how are you employed, sir?
with the town of Dayton.
And what, if any, role or what do you do for the town of Dayton?
I'm a police sergeant for the police department.
And how long in total have you been a member of the Dayton Police?
In total, started in 2011, 14 years this December.
And how long have you had the rank of sergeant with the Dayton Police?
A year and a half.
Now, if I could direct your attention to January 29th, 2022. Do you recall that date?
I do.
And were you working that date?
I was.
And do you recall what kind of shift you were working on that occasion?
I was working the 8 to 4, the day shift.
And was that the only shift that you had worked on that occasion, or how long had you been on shift by the time you came on for the 8 to 4?
That particular day, I was working from 8 a.m. to midnight. It was on a double.
Now, at some point when you first came in, with reference, if you could explain to the jury just briefly or in general terms, when you come on shift for the Dayton Police,
Well, I just have to say this. Miss Lynn says, honestly, I don't trust this guy either. He has not really that connection to that group of people, the McAlberts, the McCabe's. You know, he's not entwined with the Mass State Troopers that are all entwined with the Canton cops. He's kind of an outsider. And he's somewhat protected because he's away from all of that. And he has no agenda here. So he's just going to come in and tell the story like it is. And he did. He just said her taillight was cracked. That's it. It wasn't busted. It wasn't shattered. It wasn't splintered. Told it like it was.
what, if any, communication? Well, first and foremost, what was your role as far as that particular shift was concerned?
I was the officer in charge that day from 8 a.m. to midnight. When I came in at 8 a.m., the outgoing shift, the midnight to 8 shift, had advised me that a resident had called the police station on a 911 call requesting a ride to Brockton Hospital to meet his daughter due to her daughter's boyfriend passing away, and he needed a ride due to the snowstorm.
And then as your shift continues, what, if any, further contact or who, if anyone, reached out to you in regard to that earlier situation?
Later on, I believe it was around 2:30 in the afternoon, I received a phone call from the Norfolk District Attorney's Office with the troopers assigned there, and they had stated that they were going to come to Dayton to retrieve a vehicle that was involved in a homicide.
And did they give you a specific address as far as where they were going?
I believe the address was 345 Country Hill Drive in Dayton, North Dayton.
And with regard to that address, what, if anything, did you recognize between that and the earlier call that you were just speaking of?
That was the address that came up on the 911 call when that gentleman had called earlier on the prior shift.
And at some point, did you come to find out who the residents were at that address on Country Hill Lane?
I did.
Okay.
Who did you find them to be?
It was the Reed residence.
All right, so Sergeant, I'm going to ask you to keep your voice up, and Mr. Lally, you too.
And the Reed residence, was that a William and Janet Reed, is that correct?
Correct.
Now, as far as you received that call at about 2:30, do you know specifically who you spoke to around 2:30 in the afternoon?
Trooper Michael Proctor.
And as far as that earlier information that you were talking about with the 911 call, what, if anything, from that did you impart to Trooper Proctor?
I advised Trooper Proctor that we did receive a 911 call on the midnight to 8 shift about the resident looking to get a ride to Brockton Hospital.
And during that initial call, how was it sort of left as far as what, if anything, you were going to provide as far as assistance or with regard to the troopers on that first call?
On the first call, the troopers just had asked me if I could meet them at that residence as a courtesy since they were coming into my jurisdiction.
And what, if anything, did they indicate to you as far as where they were or when they felt they would be arriving in that area?
Trooper Proctor advised me that they were heading, I believe, from Canton, and once they were about 10 minutes away, they would recontact me so that I could meet them at the residence.
And subsequently, later in that afternoon, did you receive further contact from Trooper Proctor?
I did.
And do you know about what time that was?
I believe the first phone call was around 3 p.m. that he had called me and said that they would be there in about 10 minutes.
And upon receiving that call, what, if anything, did you do?
I had contacted, Trooper Proctor had asked me to contact our tow company to have them meet us at the residence as well. And I said, once I hung up with him, I would contact the tow company and then respond to that address on Country Hill Drive.
And is there a specific tow company that the Dayton Police uses with regard to towing of vehicles within the town?
During that period, it was Diamond Towing.
And so did you contact someone at Diamond Towing in reference to responding to that address as well?
I did. I contacted the owner and he responded.
Now, as far as that area of Dayton, if you could explain to the jury sort of what you observed as you were coming down towards that residence on that day.
Okay, so when I responded to that address that street is off of 138. When I turned onto Country Hill Drive, I was traveling west. When I arrived on that street, I observed a black pickup truck parked on the street facing east. I was flagged down by that black pickup truck by the driver and was told that they were the troopers that I had spoke to, Trooper Michael Proctor and the other sergeant.
Sergeant that left the room as you were coming in?
Correct.
Hey, don't pick on bald people. I'm bald.
And what identification did they provide to you in reference?
I don't
to
care.
They showed me their ID and their badges.
And then from there, where did you proceed?
I had parked my marked police vehicle at the end of the driveway since it was a snowstorm and we could not get into the driveway. And then we walked up to the residence.
So when you say it was a snowstorm and we couldn't get into the driveway, can you expound upon that a little as far as explain to the jury why it was that you couldn't get into the driveway?
It was about a foot of snow in the driveway.
And as far as that snow that you observed when you arrived there, was that snow, how did that snow appear as far as, did it appear as if it had been shoveled or snow blown or untouched or how did it?
It was untouched.
Now, as you're going through the snow, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's yourself, Trooper Proctor, and the sergeant from the state police, and who, if anyone else, is going along with you?
I had an officer that was field training with me that day, and he was with me as well. And we went up to the...
That's why the guy can't lie. That's why he can't get involved in this. He was training someone that day. Now you're training someone and you're going to lie in front of a brand new cop that you're training? Do you know how bad that would make the Dayton Police Department look? That's why I didn't want to have any part of this. They were going to go in and just tell the truth. I'm sure his chief just said, go in and tell it the way it is. We don't want any part of this. The FBI is involved. The FBI is looking. Just go in there and tell the truth. And this witness sunk Lally, sunk the Commonwealth.
The residence.
And as you're walking up to the residence, what, if anything, did you come upon as you're going towards, say, any door or getting closer to the home?
I remained at the garage. The two troopers went to the front door and made contact with the homeowner.
Now, as far as you were there specifically for a vehicle, correct?
Correct.
Did you observe a vehicle in the driveway at any time?
Yes, we observed a black Lexus SUV in the driveway.
Excuse me.
And what, if any, observations did you make to the rear area of that vehicle specifically?
At first, I did not go up to the vehicle. I just remained at the driveway and waited for the troopers to come back. And
I don't know why my camera's going in and out. Here we go. Oh, what are we doing? Come on, camera. It won't stay in focus, man. What's going on? Come on, focus. What's going on? What's going on? Focus, 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 focus. Come on, man. There we go. Sorry about my camera. Whoa, it's acting up tonight. What if any? All right, there we go. We're back in focus now. I saw a 20 come up. To Barros, thank you for your integrity and honesty. Free Karen Reed, aka the Cat Lady. We'll add that $20 to the total We're at 142. 142 is going to put us at 25% off from that. It's going to put us at 35. We need another 35. God, I can't do basic. We need $15, $15. So 25% of any donation comes in. We'll add that to the total and we'll get up to that $50 and we'll post that after the show. Oh, my camera's acting up big time tonight. All right, let's go. Oh, what the hell did I just do? Mother of God.
Correct.
And the troopers are inside the house. Is that also correct?
Correct.
Now, at some point, do other vehicles come down to the driveway area of this residence that you were at?
I had contacted the highway superintendent after speaking with the troopers about how to retrieve the vehicle since the driveway was untouched and had about a foot of snow. I had made the decision that I would call the highway superintendent and see if that he would come and plow the driveway so that the tow truck would have access inside in the driveway.
And just in reference to this driveway, just if you could, not exact footage or anything, but how close is this Lexus SUV parked in relation to the roadway?
Oh, my camera tonight.
How long is that driveway?
It's got to be about 150 feet off the roadway, if not more.
And if you recall, from where you're standing at the point of the garage, was what part of the vehicle was facing you? Was it the front of the vehicle, the back of the vehicle, the side of the vehicle?
I was looking at the left side of the vehicle.
And at some point, did you make any observations of the right rear part of that Lexus SUV?
I did.
And what, if anything, did you observe
Here we go.
About that area of the vehicle?
I saw that there was some damage to the right rear taillight. To my best ability and recollection, that taillight was not completely damaged. It was cracked and a piece was missing, but not completely damaged.
Cracked. Piece was missing. Could have fallen inside the tail light, but not completely damaged. Landing, thank you so much for the $20. I appreciate that. We're at 162 total. And here's the thing. Someone said in here, give her at least 50%. If you haven't watched any of my shows since the trial has started, and I've done multiple lives, okay? I've given back 25% every single night that I've come live, okay? And I'm not going to go into like a thing and make a big deal out of this, but I'm going to tell you right now, just adding all the donations that I have kicked back to Karen Read, it's probably close to well near at least $3,000 that I've raised and kicked back. And on top of that, I just want people to know, okay? And I really don't care because it's not a money thing for me, okay? The money that I give back, I still have to pay taxes on that. So I'm giving away money and paying the taxes on that too to cover this because I believe so strongly in Karen Read's innocence. That's why I do this. So it's my thing that I do here. It's the way that I contribute and give back. If you want to give 50% of your donation, then I would say go to a defense fund and make a donation. But this is the way that I do it and the way that I kick it back here on my channel. And that's the way that I'm going to continue to do it until this trial is over and Karen Read walks out of that courtroom a free woman. So I don't need to continue to keep explaining myself on this. I don't force anybody's hand to push a button. You can always just go to the defense fund and do it yourself. But this is the way that I do it here on my channel. So I don't know. If you feel that there should be more money, start a lemonade stand and kick back the money if you want to do that. But that's the way that I've done it here on my channel. And my subscribers, my viewers, my members appreciate that. So anyway, I digress. Let's move on.
And then beyond the taillight area of that vehicle, what, if anything else, did you observe as far as damage to the rear passenger side area?
Like a dent on the rear quarter.
And as far as the dent on the rear quarter of the panel that you saw, was that above the taillight, below the taillight, or something?
It's probably right in conjunction with the taillight in that same area.
And from the time that you made these observations of the vehicle, at any point did you go sort of physically
Linda,
up to the
thank
vehicle?
you.
I walked up to the vehicle. Correct.
LEB, thank
How
you.
far away from the vehicle did you get?
5 to 10 feet away.
And as far as the sort of outside or exterior of the vehicle, you mentioned obviously there's about a foot of snow on the ground. What, if anything, precipitation-wise or weather-wise, was around or on the outside of the vehicle?
Just snow.
And in particular, in this area of the right rear passenger
Thank you,
side of that
Tufi.
taillight, was there any snow or ice or anything around that area that you observed?
On the vehicle itself?
Yeah.
Yes, on the vehicle, there was snow on the vehicle.
And not to put words in your mouth, but sort of caked on there. Is that correct?
I guess you could say caked on, correct?
So you had reached out to the highway superintendent to have someone come out and plow the driveway, correct?
Correct.
And do you know about how long it was between the time that you made that call and the time that the plow driver came out to clear it?
Less than 10 minutes.
And the sort of clearing of the driveway and the process of that, do you know about how long that took?
I'd say another 10 minutes or so.
And as far as the time that the troopers went into the house, at some point the troopers obviously came out of the house, correct?
Correct.
You know about how long it was that they were inside of the house?
More than 30 minutes, less than an hour.
Now, at any point in time that while you were there, did you yourself or did you see anyone else?
Tracy with a chunny on Cash App. Thank you. I appreciate that. We'll add that to the total. And I just saw something come in via PayPal here. Hang on one second. There was a PayPal that just came through. Let me just check that real quick. Just want to get these in so they're clear and they're out and fair. No, let's see. Marla, thank you for the 50 on PayPal. I appreciate that. We're going to add that to the total as well. And I just saw a couple more come through. I almost went to a touch screen. New member, Alba, thank you so much. The $5. We'll add that to the total as well. All right, let's get through Burrows, and I have a few more things.
Touching or making any contact or manipulating or anything in that rear passenger side area of either the taillight or the dent that you
I did not.
I'm sorry.
I did not.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Let me have a moment, John.
Yes.
All right, he's pretty much done. That's what I wanted to hear from Officer Burrows. Thank you so much. Okay, before we get into the expert crash reconstructionist, let's go to Turtle Boy and let's look at him try to recreate the scene. I don't know if you all have seen this. You probably have, but let's play a little bit of this here. And I always find this, I'm trying not to make light of the situation, but it's a little bit comical that he couldn't get up to the 20 for now. He's 62 feet away. All right, let's play this. So just to give some context, this is TB trying to recreate the Commonwealth's theory, it says right here, of backing up 24.2 miles an hour. Now, they measured out 62 feet, and he's going to back up exactly right at the spot of where John O'Keefe was supposedly hit by Karen. Now, let's just put this in perspective. I'm looking at this screen, and I did say perspective. I'm looking at the screen. Now, if I was standing directly behind the SUV, that would give me 62 feet to see that truck coming towards me. I literally could have just moved out of the way. Do you think that John just stood there and said, and he says it in the, hey, Karen just hit me. Do you think John just did that? John would move out of the way. All right, let's play this. And he hits the curb here. It's pretty close to the same car, Mark. Pretty close. About the same size and shape as Karen. Yeah, I mean, AC, valid point. Why didn't they go back when they the reconstructionists? Why wouldn't you go back and bring a similar SUV and try this experiment back there at 34 Fairview and film it? And I made a point the other night as well when we're watching it. Microdots, great point out, said no audio in that video. You can't hear the revving of the engine. You're going to hear it here when Turtle Boy backs up. But in their video, there's no sound because they don't want you to hear the sound of that engine revving up. You're going to tell me that you wouldn't have heard that inside the house, or when John O'Keefe's body got hit, that you wouldn't hear the thud with the 12 feet that he supposedly flew after falling back and hitting his head on the curb, and he just pogo stick up on top of the lawn. You wouldn't hear that? Now he went up on the curb.
You're on the curb.
Am I really?
Yeah, you're on the grass. No.
Almost damaged his car too. Pretty close to the curb. Now notice that. And I just actually noticed this, and I never noticed this before. Look where he is up on the curb. That literally almost damaged his car. So if it's true that Karen went up on that, you know, she would have went up on the curb. You would have seen damage. He couldn't even make it with the curve in the road.
You're still, your back tire is up. You're gonna drive. Like,
You gotta think.
there you go.
No, there's ice. It's nighttime. He's doing this during the day. And another thing I want to talk about is this house right here. We're going to talk about that in a second. I want to show you something that I noticed looking at Google Earth this evening about that particular house.
How fast did you go?
14.
14. Wow.
I was 14. That was as fast. I mean, anything. I got to 13. I'm like scared.
Yeah.
Out of control at
Yeah.
14.
That looked fast to me too.
I think
How
he's
fast?
got
Really fast?
Alexa.
Coming at me pretty
I think it's a under model of what Karen has. I mean, it's pretty much the same taillight. You can see it right there.
fast. I kind of jumped a little bit out of the
Where did I
way.
get the curb?
Yeah, you went right up on it.
I really
You can see your tire mark.
Yeah, I don't know what model he
Oh,
has.
actually made a tire mark?
Karen.
Yeah, right here.
She has a 570.
That's where your tire
Oh
was.
yeah, but there was no tire marks when she did. She's better at this. She's really good at this.
I mean, it's a 1 in a million shot because there's an angle too. She would have had to cut the wheel
It's hard,
exactly.
yeah, it's like, dude, it comes at you fast. Like,
Yeah.
How do you? Let me try that again.
Okay.
Let me try it again.
Do you want to send up the drone? Is that okay? You want to? Are you in a rush?
No, let's do it.
I
Let's
think
do
he's
it.
got a 350. I don't know. All right, let's speed up. We're gonna do it again.
And having a person there and doing that, like that's fucking, like it can't be manslaughter. Like if she did that on purpose, which she didn't, obviously, because she's not. You have to be a fucking psycho.
Right.
That's all the time thinking that. Like you gotta be fucking psycho to do something like that.
Sure.
So no fucking way. I mean, that's seven. That seemed fast.
Yeah.
I don't think it could have gone fast enough.
Oh, and here's another thing that I pointed out about the Trooper Paul, video, and I noticed this, and Casey just said it to me, that if you look in the distance, it almost looks like the cars are going by really quick, like they sped up the video. But also another thing too, why wouldn't they have done this? Why would they not have someone outside lay out cones for distance, okay? Have a wide shot this way and time that car going back using cones for distance to judge speed and judge time. And also, why would they not have a fixed camera position inside that SUV, inside Karen's SUV, showing the speed backing up at that point? To show you, yeah, we hit 24.2 miles an hour and an X amount of speed.
I mean, dude, fucking reckless in the snow too. Think of how loud that would have been.
Yeah, and she would have pulled forward and then do that, and he's just standing here.
And my car can accelerate faster than hers too.
Right.
So we'll see.
And what would he be doing just standing there? I don't
I don't know.
know.
I guess he just wants to get hit.
Yeah.
I don't know. He just wants to get. I'm gonna go take a picture of this guy. He wanted me. To
Okay.
All right. So we saw the reconstruction. I thought this is a great representation. Obviously it's different conditions, snow. There's no snow. It's not night. But I thought it was a great reconstruction. My camera's acting up tonight. Sorry, everybody. Why will this not focus? Come on. There we go. Got it back. I don't know why it's doing that. But what I wanted to do is show you this. So let's talk about camera positions on that road that night. And ironically, this was one of the Ring cameras that did not work. KTG, thank you. The pig DNA came from Proctor. Laugh out loud. I love that. So we'll add the that $4.99 to it. Masca says, I got an idea. I'm going to send it to you. Perfect. I care about my camera focus. Shush. Add that $5, please. All right, let's look at this. And I find this interesting too. Let's watch these camera views. This would have been a perfect view. And ironically, these cameras did not work that night.
All right, we're on Fairview Road. We're gonna go over here to 31 Fairview and just knock on the door.
31. Why are you acting up tonight, camera?
So look at how close that is. Look at that angle right there.
This would have been perfect.
From 31 Fairview. It's got a ring right there.
Look at that. Ring camera. Bang. That's what I wanted you to see. That would have showed a perfect position of everything that's going on. That is the camera that literally could have sunk Karen Read. Lights out. That's it. Why was that footage lost? Why was that footage not recorded? Because nothing happened in the sorts of what the Commonwealth is trying to say that Karen Read did that night. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if she did what they said that she did, hit John O'Keefe and leave, that camera, that ring camera footage would have been the first thing that they played in the opening statement. And it would have been like this. Lally would have stood up and said, Karen Read hit and killed John O'Keefe and left him to die. Click, and played the video, and you watch her back up and hit him and drive away. Case over. Done. Done. I find this interesting. So I follow the Idaho 4 case, and I always notice this. Damn it, this camera tonight is acting up. That when we discovered camera positions, Google Earth, and this is the old 112 King Road behind here, but this house had a camera on it, and it had been blurred out. We believe there's a camera position there, and I always believe that there's a camera position up in here somewhere. I want to show you 34 Fairview. This is 31 Fairview. Interesting. They blurred out that house. Camera position. Why would they do that? And there's 34 Fairview to the left. But that 31 Fairview camera position blurred out. I don't know. Just found that to be a little weird. A little strange. All right, let's pull this up real quick, and then we'll get to, my favorite of the night to end it. Trooper Paul. HO2 Man 1999 says, free Turtle Boy after free Karen Read. I absolutely agree. Thank you so much for the $20. We'll add that to the total. 25% of your donation will get kicked back to Karen Read. All right, let's get into Trooper Paul, my favorite testimony by far. The accident reconstructionist, the medical examiner. He's all these people just wrapped up into one officer. All right, let's play this.
So I used the spherical speeds and the time and calculated a distance that the vehicle traveled during this time.
And as far as the total distance traveled from the 0 to the 23.6 at the end, what was the total distance there?
97.35 feet.
And with respect to the vehicle's maximum speed, as far as 24.2 miles per hour that's recorded within this data set, how much distance had the vehicle traveled prior to achieving that 24.2 mile per hour?
62.51 feet.
Nice math.
Thanks. I approach this to retrieve, Your Honor.
Yes.
Now, Trooper Paul, with regard to, based on your training and experience, with respect to this type of data and crash reconstruction in general, this particular set of data from, who's the name again? From 12,629 miles beach.
Now, here's my theory on Paul. I think, and we found out in the voir dire at the end of this, and we found out about his meetings, I think that Proctor, Tully, Morsi, I also think that Lally all went in there and sat this guy down and said, this is what you're going to say. This is what you're going to do. And you're going to play by our rules and you're going to play by our game. Because when he starts giving this bullshit excuse about how John O'Keefe got hurt, did this pogo stick pirouette 3-ring circus thing that he's going to bring out, you can tell he is either scared or like, I don't want to be saying this shit, but they're making me do it. That's kind of the impression that I got. This guy is a patsy. They threw this on this guy and they said, you're going to say it and you're going to do it like this. Real quick, I think I had a Venmo come in and I just want to add that to the total. Let's see. Denise, thank you so much for the 20. She says, thank you and free Karen Reed. Thank you so much for your donation. All right, let's go.
What, if any, type of collision is that data set consistent with, and why?
Yeah, there's a point in there where it appears to be consistent with a pedestrian strike.
And why is it that your interpretation of that data you feel is consistent with the pedestrian strike?
It's the sudden change of speed at 24.2 to 23.6 in a half second, while the accelerator pedal is still at a consistent 74%. And also the steering wheel angle goes left at 4.5 degrees and also goes right to 4.5 degrees and then goes back to left after that.
So he's trying to say that's how Karen was lining it up to hit John. She must have been a hell of a fucking NASCAR driver, I'll tell you, or a stunt driver to back up and get all that precise. I mean, we just saw Turtle Boy even had an issue in a clear day, backing up during the day, not even at night, no snow on the ground, nothing, and he hit the curb. Toothy, thank you so much. You got a certificate and a shaved head. Brian is very credible. Drones and guarantees. All right.
So right at that spot is something that's consistent with a pedestrian strike.
Now, with respect to Mr.
to
O'Keefe,
say
the
suppose?
pedestrian in this collision, what, if any, data were you able to see or review in relation to your reconstruction analysis in this case?
Say with
As far as Mr.
Right
O'Keefe,
here.
what, if anything, did you?
This is the moment where he starts choking up and he's like, oh shit, I got to say it now. You got a little nervous here. And this is where I was like, you know what? They pushed this guy. They got him in that room and said, you're going to say this. And I think this is all going to come out on tomorrow when Jackson, hopefully Jackson gets a hold of this guy and this stuff can get in. But I think it's going to come out. This guy going to crack. Right here.
You learn about his injuries.
Like what types of injuries he had? Yeah, they were blunt force injuries. I mean, it was abrasions or lacerations. And
so he said abrasions, then lacerations. This is, I'm telling you, they pushed this on this guy. This is what you're going to say. This is what you're going to do. Go along with the story.
Blunt force injuries.
And the injuries that you observed or that you were informed about, that you learned this from the medical examiner, is that correct?
Correct.
And with respect to the injuries that Mr. O'Keefe was recorded as having sustained, according to the medical examiner, what, if any, relationship did those
Now they're going to
injuries
all
have
line this
to
up
you
with the
in
medical
relation
examiner.
to a pedestrian collision?
Sorry, say it again.
As far as the injuries that you were informed by the medical examiner that Mr. O'Keefe had sustained,
Yes.
what, if any, relationship did those injuries have in relation to a pedestrian collision?
They are consistent with a pedestrian collision.
And how?
Okay, hang on one second. I just want to check something here. Okay, cool. I just want to let everybody know I have just confirmed a guest that had reached out to me. I have verified them. They are a doctor. They are an MD. I verified them. They reached out to me, and I'm going to read this so you all can hear this. And I have verified that this guest will be coming on my show. So this guest reached out to me and said, "Hi, Brian. Like many, I've been following the Karen Reed case closely. While there was a lot of legal reporting coverage and the medical perspective seems to be lacking, this would seem like a great hole in a murder investigation. I'm a physician, internal medicine. Additionally, I have engineering and business degrees and can speak coherently about the polycarbonate taillight, physics, mechanics of an automobile accident, and injuries. I'd like to consider you having me on your show. I can go all through of Officer John O'Keefe's injuries and conditions. I'll explain hypothermia, the DNA evidence, and more. I don't know when the medical examiner will finally testify, but it would be great to break down her direct and cross examinations." So I have confirmed that this MD will come on my show on Wednesday evening at 9 p.m. So I will set up that show. I'm probably going to just have one phone call if you are watching, just to vet you a little bit more, but we'll confirm you for 9 p.m. on Wednesday. And then also, they're actually welcoming to come back if the medical examiner testifies. They said they will come back on my show on Friday at 8 and break down the cross and direct. So thank you so much. I appreciate that. I will get the links sent over to you, and I will email you after the show just for a little bit more detail. And maybe we can just have a small conversation before we go live just to do some more vetting. But thank you. I appreciate you. Can't wait for that. That's going to be great. I wish we had the medical examiner's report to go through, but we can go through what we know so far. But thank you so much for reaching out to me. We will make that happen. All right. Yeah, and that's what I'm hearing too, that the medical examiner is supposed to be testifying. I heard it was Tuesday, but maybe it's Monday. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but we'll have that material, which will be great for Wednesday, and we can go back over it on Wednesday's show. So that'll be perfect if they testify tomorrow. All right, let's get back to Mr. Medical Examiner, crash reconstructionist, multi-talented Trooper Paul.
Due to, I mean, we can break down each injury due to the arm,
Tuesday,
the lacerations of the arm.
Tuesday voir dire day? Or no, tomorrow was voir dire. So I apologize. I'm screwed up about court. I heard that it was later in the week for the medical examiner. I thought tomorrow they were going all over the voir dire. Tuesday, I don't know. I'm confused. Let's just get through
the
this.
tail light, the dent where the scratches for his hand could be.
Yeah, Tuesday.
Those are something that would be consistent with this in this particular case with striking the Lexus.
This is a joke.
Now, specifically with reference to this case, what, if any, analysis did you conduct with regard to kinematics?
Yes, I did a kinematics analysis in my report. Kinematics deals with the aspect of motion.
And I'm sorry, if you could expand upon that just a little bit and explain to the jury sort of what a kinematics analysis is.
So kinematics analysis is, like I said, it deals with the aspects of motion. Pedestrian crashes get labeled in certain types of how they interact. So in this particular case, I kind of labeled it as it's a forward projection crash with a side swipe. And what I mean by forward projection, it means that when a pedestrian gets struck by a vehicle, well, basically their principal impact forces are above the pedestrian center of gravity, as in this case where you get the higher back of the vehicle.
Okay. Tuesday is the defense's experts voir dire, and then tomorrow was likely the last day for the prosecution. I heard the prosecution is supposed to rest on Tuesday, so I don't know. We'll just find out tomorrow. We'll just put it that way. We'll find out tomorrow. All right, let's keep playing through here.
When you get struck by something like that, it projects you forward in the direction of the vehicle. And in this situation where he gets more struck through the side of the vehicle on the taillight area, that it projected him to forward and to the left due to this more of a side swipe manner.
Now, with respect to you mentioned the height of the vehicle. As far as the shape of the back of the vehicle, what, if any, relationship does that
Hear
have
this.
in regard to you sort of labeling this as a forward projection / side swipe collision?
Yeah, due to it being pretty flat, it's not the front of the vehicle where you have the hood and the pedestrian staying above the hood. It's the back of the vehicle. It's pretty flat and it's pretty higher up.
Now, with respect, you also made aware through your review of the medical examiner's report that there was injury to the back of Mr. O'Keefe's head.
Oh, I love this one.
And based on your training experience in particular to pedestrian collisions, what, if any, significance did that have in relation to your opinion as to how Mr. O'Keefe interacted with the defendant's vehicle?
So when you look at the damage, he would have interacted with that left side of the vehicle. And when he got struck by the vehicle on the left side, it would have caused his vehicle to rotate kind of counterclockwise. And then when that rotation, he could turn it into his back, and his back could have struck the ground. I noted at the scene that there was asphalt curbing, which could have somewhere he could have struck his head in there or somewhere.
Now, hear his words. Coulda, 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 coulda. That's not definitive. That's not definitive.
Along any of the
That puts a lot of speculation into this. Coulda, coulda. So they fancied it up with all the reconstructionist jargon, and then now he's saying coulda, 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 could've, 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 coulda, 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 coulda. So it's very deceptive on the jury what he did and what they're doing here. Heather, thank you for the $9.99. Says, Brian, how did the jury act when you were there? I'll talk about it a little bit. I want to get through this, but I will answer and get through that. Kathleen, thank you. We'll add the $2. Kathleen, thanks for the 19.99er. I appreciate it. No, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, let's keep playing through here.
Pavement would have caused damage. Most forward projection crashes have damage on both sides of the body.
Why is that?
Due to them get projected forward. So they get hit from behind, they would have damage to the back, and then when they get projected forward, they get damage to the front. So, I mean, in this case, he got projected and got spun counterclockwise due to where he got impacted the vehicle.
So I want to put this into context if people aren't following. He's saying that Karen backs up to him, John gets hit, falls back, hits his head on the curb, and instead of lying flat, which naturally would happen, you would fall back and probably slide on the pavement, hit your head, or either just get ran over. He's saying, because you got to keep in mind, he landed like 12 feet on the lawn this way. So when he hit his head on the curb, and I'm still trying to figure this out, he hits his head on the curb, back like this, on that curbstone, and then literally twists and goes 12 feet in the air and lands on the ground. I don't even think laws of physics could even prove that to be correct.
Now, with regard to the vehicle speeds, kinematically speaking,
Yeah, right, not a
from
vehicle.
your analysis in respect to that, what, if anything, can you say in relation to, just in general terms, as far as the pedestrian collision is concerned, how much of that vehicle speed would a pedestrian be assuming in the context of a pedestrian collision with a forward projection?
Forward projection will have almost 100% speed post-impact.
Yeah.
And more, like I said, in this case, it's more the fact that he didn't get 100%, like his center mass didn't strike the vehicle, so he would not have been thrown 100% of the vehicle speed post-impact.
Now, that doesn't make any sense, because I would think for the way that he's calculating he was projected, that he would have had to been hit center mass. The only reason they're saying that is because why? John didn't have any bruising anywhere on this part of his body where he would have hit that SUV according to his height to snap that taillight and shatter that taillight. So they're trying to weasel their way out of this, because if he would have got hit, his shoulder probably would have been broken, would have been dislocated. He would have snapped his collarbone at that speed and that impact. If he hit that taillight, according to them, so hard that it shattered into 45 pieces, and you're going to tell me he didn't break his shoulder, his collarbone, or even just dislocate his shoulder? That's hard to believe.
He would have, his right side would have sustained the vehicle speed, and that would cause him to spin out. So, as opposed to traditional forward projection. If he was right there in the middle of the vehicle, he would have got projected forward, and he would have sustained his full body would have sustained the vehicle speed.
See, that's what they're trying to lie about. And that's why now they've changed their theory again, because before it was a 3-point turn. Then after that, it was that she just hit him. Now it's a side swipe. She hit him, and that's how he landed there. Now they've changed it again, the theory again. Now it's a side swipe, because that's going to cause the spinning. And that's how they're trying to get his body over to that 12 feet onto the lawn. So it's a lot.
Is that abnormal as far as the sort of forward projection type of pedestrian collision? And what I'm going to ask is specifically to not having any contact with sort of the bottom of the vehicle or being run over or something like that. Can you expound upon that a little?
Yeah, due to the side swipe manner that projected him off to the left, it wouldn't show that the car would have ran over him and traveled over him. Like traditional.
That didn't happen.
Yeah,
The car
I'm
would-
going to ask you to slow down just a
Sorry.
little bit.
Sorry. Yes. So due to the situation in this scene where he got projected to the left and body rotated, it would have rotated away from the vehicle, and his body would not have traveled under the vehicle as you do in a lot of traditional forward projection crashes. The vehicle would get tracked forward ahead of the vehicle, and that vehicle could possibly travel over that pedestrian.
So that is not what you found in this particular pedestrian collision, correct?
Correct.
No, because my girlfriend will kill me. Can I show the taillight picture? Because everybody wants to see this. She's going to be like, no, don't show it.
I know you've mentioned it a couple times, but if I could ask you to just expound a little bit when you're talking about center of mass and how that relates between sort of a pedestrian and a vehicle in a pedestrian type collision.
So pedestrians, almost every object has a center mass. Pedestrians is the same. So a pedestrian center mass is essentially obviously the half the body, and you would also put down is around the chest area, just below the chest area would be a center of mass for a pedestrian, and they all range based on height and body shape.
And so where on someone's body typically would a center of mass be located?
Usually just around the chest area or just below the chest area.
This is the biggest
Now, if
line
I
of
could
shit.
turn your attention, Trooper Paul, back to February 1st of 2022, when you were at the Canton Police Department. You mentioned that, or you testified earlier at some point that you went outside to an asphalt roadway surface and conducted some forward acceleration and rear acceleration braking tests, correct?
Correct.
Now, in addition to that, what, if any, other testing did you do with respect to that vehicle on that particular date in that location?
We checked the cameras and we did backup visibility analysis with the cameras and the vehicle.
And again, if you could, just in general terms,
All right, real quick. Show the photo. Now, I'm next to a 570 Lexus. I'm 6 foot. I say I'm 4 foot when I stand next to Will, because Will's like 8 feet tall. But you can see the line of the sight of where that taillight would have hit me. I mean, I would have broken ribs. I literally would have broken ribs. It would have broke my arm here. It would have probably hit my chest, my ribs. And the part that I have to show and kind of point out, this is the part here that has that dent. If over here, and he says that his hand caused that dent. There's no way. I mean, that piece of metal right there is a lot harder to dent than something like over here on the fender or the quarter panel. Now that gives you some perspective. All right, let's go up and watch this half-ass experiment that he's going to do here, and then we'll get to the voir dire.
First, just describe for the jury when you say visibility analysis. Typically speaking, what are you doing in the visibility?
High maker.
In the build analysis, we are trying to see.
Right, let's go to this bogus backup video. I was cracking fucking up when I saw this. Where's the backup video? And we'll get to the voir dire and he just gets shredded. All right, here. This is so flippin' stupid.
Trooper Paul, with respect to, just for orientation purposes, if you could explain to the jury sort of where we are in relation to the Canton Police Department and where it was that you conducted these tests.
Yeah, so this is a view from the back of the Canton Police Department. So as you look at the Canton Police Department, we'd be on the left side of the Canton Police Department.
And as far as the vehicle in question, if you could, using the laser pointer.
I mean, this is almost downright embarrassing that they showed this in court.
Direct your attention where that is and sort of where it's going to be in relation to the camera.
The vehicle is right here.
Yeah, I'm
If
gonna.
you could press one.
All right, I'm gonna play it at normal speed when they get this thing started. I think they're start here. I love the cruiser in the background. That's a cute touch. Yeah, no sound either. Yeah, when he pulls forward, it's interesting. It looks like it's sped up. And this is like the hi, mom. Hi, mom. I got my new car. Did you see me? Look how fast that is. That's sped up. See how fast he took off? That's sped up. And you can see it because you can verify it by the lights on the cruiser when it pulls up ahead. It's faster. And I think there's some cars up in the distance that you can see. That's totally sped up. And now it slows down again. Now it's in real time. This doesn't prove anything, Peggy. It proves that they're being deceptive. And why is waiting so long? Now, I'm sorry. If I was hit that hard, I think you would just bounce back, probably land on your ass, probably would hurt, but that's not going to kill you. That's not going to kill you. And how do we know that they're going 24 miles an hour? There's no camera inside the car on the Speedo. There's no cones to judge speed. Like if you've ever watched Mythbusters, they've done tons of these speed tests, and they use cones to verify speed by the length of the cone and how fast it gets to that particular cone. There's no stopwatch being clicked. There's no time. I'm just thinking all the logical things here. I mean, I would at least put a camera on the Speedo and show it going up to the 24 miles an hour like they said. Pretty terrible.
Trooper Paul, during these testing that you were conducting here with the acceleration, reverse braking, all of those things, the highest speeds that you recorded during the course of that testing was 30 miles an hour. Is that correct?
Yes.
So let's see it.
The highest speed that was
Show us
contained within that VCH data for the second or the B of those two data sets.
Yeah,
What was
Joey
the
makes a good point.
Miles per hour there.
At 24.
Now, with respect to the braking in this vehicle, what if anything was this vehicle equipped with?
Had ABS brakes, anti-lock brake system.
And with relation to anti-lock brake system or ABS, what if any relationship does that have with regard to braking and what is then visible on the pavement?
It doesn't leave visible tire marks.
And why is that, sir?
Due to when the brakes, as the brake is about to lock up.
Here you go right here. I'll just give you I just Googled something, and this was a great idea. Joey just said, Joey says, I've been hit harder by a linebacker in high school. Well, I just put up an average speed. What is the average speed? Is 22, here's a question to Google. Is 22 miles per hour fast for a football player? It says in total, 36 NFL players ran faster than 21 miles per hour during the 2002 regular season, but only Paris Campbell and Kenneth Walker surpassed 22 mile per hour threshold. Campbell's 22.11 mile per hour speed ranks as the fifth fastest top speed by a ball carrier during the NFL season since 2016. Well, I'm sure they've ran into people, right? When they get tackled, when someone tackles that running back, they didn't get killed. They didn't get hurt. And I get it. People are going, oh, they have a helmet on, they have pads on, but they didn't receive any devastating injuries that kept them out of the game.
It transfers over to another tire, so it kind of rotates between tires, so the tires never fully lock up and slide across the pavement.
Now, in relation to ABS not leaving marks on the pavement, what, if any, relationship does that have as far as the sound difference between ABS
why didn't we
brakes
hear the sound?
and non-ABS brakes?
Yeah, sound would be different because
Right.
you would hear a car sliding across the pavement as opposed to just hard braking and engine slow.
I get it. I'm just trying to put something, I don't know what the hell I'm trying to do here, but I'm just saying. But 7,000 pounds, I mean, I'm going to tell you, if I was hit just by that car in that video, I would bounce back, probably have a bruise or something on my arm, probably smack my ass on the pavement and go, damn, that hurt. Probably flew back 2 or 3 feet and say, damn, that hurt. I definitely would probably say I would walk away from that. It would hurt. I'd get torn up pretty good, but I'm not going to die from that. Not going to die from it.
Slowing down.
As far as sort of screeching of braking and tire coming to a brake, what would you expect to hear with respect to ABS braking?
Why didn't we hear it?
There would be no screeching of the tires.
No sound.
And Ms. Gilman, if you could press play from here.
Anyway, I'm done with this clown. Let's watch Helen Jackson shred him in the voir dire. Here we go.
Wednesday is a federal holiday, so court is not in session on
Oh,
Wednesday.
Bev.
We'll have a full day Thursday and half a day Friday.
Okay.
It's a little
Why
different
are
than we
we-
looked at, but I am
what's the hand
assured that we are
motion?
still on schedule to getting the case to you folks to begin your deliberations.
And listen, I know I'm probably going to get killed because I compared a human body to 7,000 pounds. I get it. I don't know what the hell I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to say that she didn't fucking do this. Bear with me. She didn't do it. There's no friggin' way. All right. Let's
Sometime that last
play
week.
Bev here and watch Jackson
Okay.
shred this guy.
So we appreciate everybody's patience. I appreciate the lawyers now really trying to work to get this case to you as efficiently as possible. So those cautions. Do not discuss this case with anyone. Don't do any independent research or investigation into this case.
All right.
If you happen to see, hear, read anything about this case, please.
Jury's out of the room. Now I'll get held to on the replay, everybody. You're comparing a 250-pound person to a 7,000-pound truck.
Thank you. Be seated.
Right, you're right, Alba. I knew that too.
All right. So, Trooper, we're going to have a voir dire of you, sir. Mr. Lally's going to ask you some questions. Mr. Jackson's going to ask you some questions. You'll be shown a video.
Okay.
All right, Mr.
Here we go.
Lally.
Now, Trooper Paul, as I was asking you before, with respect to, have you had occasion?
And I'm telling you right now, they sat him down for this one too. And they went, you're going to say that tire didn't move. And it clearly did. I mean, come on. Stevie Wonder would see that tire moving.
And to see a ring video from Mr. O'Keefe's house on One Meadows Avenue, depicting a defendant or the defendant's vehicle backing out of a garage while snow was falling.
Yes.
Now, in addition to that, as you've already testified to, you made observations of the defendant's vehicle in the Canton Police Department garage on February 1st. Is that correct?
Yes.
And Your Honor, with the court's permission, may we play the video at this time?
Yes.
Did you see it
Same
move?
time,
Nope.
stipulate to the video. Well,
I want to see it for purposes of this voir dire. And in fact, I'd like to see the version that the defendants have with the focusing in on the tire.
Understood.
Interesting that the video was a lot darker too.
Both. Go ahead, Ms. Gilman. You show yours, and then I'm going to ask for the defense.
153.
On. That's a lot darker too.
Now, Trooper, from your observations from this video, at some point, this vehicle either comes close or makes contact with Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, in addition to your observations of this video and your observations of the defendant's vehicle, at some point, have you also seen photographs of Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle?
Yes.
And is your understanding that those photographs of Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle were taken by State Police Crime Scene Services on February 3rd? Is that correct?
Yes.
Now,
How do
with
we know
reference to your observations in this vehicle,
See the
what
metadata
I'm going to
on.
ask you is in regard to the significance that you observe, significance of the impact between the two vehicles. In respect to Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle, what, if anything, did you observe on his vehicle at that time?
At the photos or now?
Right now.
Oh, right now. There was snow on the vehicle.
And then with respect to the contact between the defendant's vehicle and victim Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle, what, if anything, did you observe to occur with relation to the snow based on the significance of the impact between the two?
The snow doesn't move.
Get to a point.
And Ms. Gilman, if you could press play.
All right, this is where it gets interesting. Oh, I just saw the tire move right from there.
All right. Can I see the other video? Please. Yes, I think it's on, I know it's in evidence, but I think it's on your computer, your hard drive.
This is the defense video. Notice how it's a lot brighter. Oh, this is so obvious. Now watch that tire. Come on, bro. Did you see the wheel move? Nope. I love this.
All right.
See the wheel move? Nope.
Thank you. Okay, could you turn the lights on, please?
Your Honor, if I could.
I even made the observation too. If you look past where the contact made with John O'Keefe's Traverse, the tire tracks actually go in a little bit deeper. So you obviously know that she hit him.
It's just two photographs that I'd like to.
Sure.
Purposes. Ms. Gilman, if I could have what's now been marked as Exhibit
Telling you, they told this
549.
guy, you're gonna say that.
And before you do
he
that,
did not hit it.
what is the exhibit we just saw through your IT person? What
Your Honor,
number?
it's the same exhibit. It has not been enhanced in any way. It was just magnified for purposes of this showing. In other words, the magnification is not embedded in the video.
Okay,
Same video.
okay.
We just magnified it.
Okay.
Here you go.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Lally.
And Trooper, do you recognize what's up on the screen now?
Yes.
And what are we looking at, and which area of the vehicle are we looking at?
It's the rear. Sorry.
Like an awfully
John
clean
O'Keefe's car.
car.
The driver's side, is that correct?
Yes.
And what, if any, relationship?
Misty, thank you so much for for the $50. $50. She said, for love from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. $50. We'll add that to the total 25% we'll get kicked back to Karen Reed.
Does this portion of the vehicle we're looking at here have in relation to the video that we just watched?
It was faced, well, kind of you see it
All right,
from.
what was the answer? I didn't hear.
Sorry, it was faced kind of the same way you see the back left rear corner of the vehicle as you do in this picture here.
And Ms. Gilman, if I could have what's now been marked as Exhibit 559.
That's pretty
Sir, is
clean.
this the same driver's side rear of Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle?
Yes, it is.
Now, as far as your observations of these photographs, what, if any, damage did you observe to Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle in either the last exhibit or this exhibit itself?
There was no damage.
Now, as far as the impact, let me ask, as far as the damage that you observed to the taillight area of the defendant's vehicle, what, if any, opinion do you have as to the amount of force necessary in order to cause that damage?
Objection.
We need a foundation on this.
So, Trooper, over the course of your, I'm sorry, how many crashes have you investigated over your time? As far as you know?
I've been primarily on 196 crashes.
And I know I'd asked you before about pedestrian crashes. Fair to say most of the remainder, if not all the remainder, involves vehicles colliding with other vehicles.
Correct.
Now, with respect to that experience in relation to vehicle crashes, what, if any, training or knowledge do you have in regard to sort of physical forces of vehicles in a collision sequence and what kind of damage you would anticipate?
So obviously, the higher the speed, the more damage. The lower speed, the less damage.
And what, if any,
Definitely get smoked. He's
from the
nervous right now.
observation that you made in that video and the observations that
He's ticking. See his face? His face is twitching. This is a nervous tick too. You're doing this, and now his face is twitching. You notice? Not his face didn't twitch the entire time, but now that the questioning, and even he's twitching here on the direct. So I'm telling you, they pushed him to say all this shit. I think they got him in the room and said, "This is how you're going to say this, and this is what you're going to say." And then he gets shredded by Jackson here.
you made
Rapid blinking. He's
what you observed in the video was that
breathing
consistent
in
with the
deep.
damage that you observed to the defendant's vehicle.
Objection.
So I'm going to allow this for voir dire. I just need
He's
to be
stretching his neck.
Understood, Your Honor. Thank you.
Panicking a
It's
little
not
bit.
consistent with the tail light in this collision.
And why not?
For one thing, the collision, the tail light is, what I say, 42 to 50 inches off the ground. So that vehicle would have to have damage 42 to 50 inches off the ground because they would have had to contact each other in the same distance from the ground. And there's no damage to that vehicle. So if the tail light breaks, it should leave some sort of scratching, maybe a dent, something on some sort of damage to that vehicle should have occurred.
And with respect to, I think you just answered it. So as far as
That's a nervous tick,
Mr.
too.
O'Keefe's vehicle, what kind of damage would you expect from an impact significant enough to break the plastic on the tail light of the defendant's vehicle?
It'd be probably higher speed than what we saw.
For purposes of the voir dire, I need to hear all of this, Mr. Jackson. Go ahead.
A higher speed than what we probably would saw in there. If it's not, it was minimal. Maybe it would crack a tail light or something like that, but it wouldn't. I mean, the damage is different.
He just said maybe it would crack a tail
and
light.
Also, we have a bumper that's also in the way too.
And to that point, Trooper, when it comes to a bumper, from a functional standpoint, what is a
Nervous.
bumper and what does it do
Thanks
with
for the
respect
two.
to a vehicle and a collision sequence?
The bumper is, it's basically meant as another cushion to absorb the impact to another vehicle from one vehicle to another vehicle. And it kind of sticks out to kind of also preserve whatever, the tail lights and everything else and the damage on top of it.
So in order, from your experience as far as responding and investigating collisions, specifically collisions between motor vehicles, the speed that you observed the defendant's vehicle traveling in that video, what, if any, relationship does that have specifically as to the bumper, as to the damage that you observed to the defendant's vehicle?
So if you look at the defendant's vehicle, there is a scratch mark that is along the left side starts from her bumper around the rear. That could be consistently with his hitting his bumper, that would be around the same height level. He has a like little ridge there on his bumper. So that bumper could have been hit that little ridge. And also
See, again, he's saying could, maybe. They needed this guy. This is the guy that they needed that was going to come in and explain how all this happened. 8 weeks we've been waiting for this guy, and this is the guy that they made do it. And this guy, I'm telling you, they told him this is what you're going to say and this is what you're going to do, and that's the way it's going to be.
So the bumper in itself, and here is a different material. Hers is a little lighter, like a glossy colored paint. This is more a duller flat finish. So it might have some why it would show up on her bumper more than it would show up on his bumper.
And finally, sir, in your opinion, the damage to the defendant's taillight is that something that could have occurred or could have been caused by the crash or the contact of the vehicles that you observed in that video?
Objection.
No.
So again, this is voir dire, Mr. Jackson, going in here.
No.
Might. Yep.
And again, sir, why not?
For one thing, the bumpers, you have to go push through the bumpers in order to hit the taillight against the other vehicle. And there's no damage to significant damage to a bumper in order to push back into the car.
Yeah, and there was no snow on the vehicle. By that, I mean Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle that even came off the vehicle that you observed during the course of that contact between the two vehicles.
That's correct.
I have nothing further on.
All right.
All right, Mr. Jackson.
Did you ever put the two
Look how nervous he got when Jackson stood up.
cars together?
I did not.
No, you didn't, did you? You never tested whether or not the SUV would match up with the Traverse, did
He's
you?
ticking.
What do you mean?
You just said, oh, look, one of them has matte finish, one of them has glossy finish, so it couldn't have happened, right?
No, I'm confused by the question. I'm talking about the tail light. We're talking about the tail light.
Yeah.
Are we talking about the tail light? Or are we talking about the bumper?
Yeah, we were talking about the taillight.
So one person at a time, you both are talking over each other.
You started talking about the bumpers.
Yes.
You said, well, one has matte finish and one has glossy finish, right?
Yes.
You said, well, you'd expect one of them to like slide off of each other, and they could have done this and they could have done that, right?
Not slide off each other.
You were suggesting that the two cars wouldn't match up such that the taillight could make contact with any part of the Traverse. That's what you were suggesting.
I'm saying it didn't match up because there's no damage to the Traverse.
You didn't test whether or not the lens, the right rear lens on the SUV could match up to any part of the Traverse, right? And make contact, physical contact with it, right?
When I see a picture of the Traverse,
Yes or no?
when I see the picture
No,
of the
this
Traverse,
is a voir dire. I need the information, Mr.
you asked me a
Jackson.
question.
Yeah,
And I said when
yes or no question.
He's smoking him right now.
I don't think so. But
Jackson's pissed.
Mr. Jackson, just for there's no jury here.
I
This
realize
is
that.
this is for
He's
purposes
pissed. He's
of
hot.
what I have to rule on. The more information.
Woo! Jackson is hot right now. Super hot. I haven't seen him get like this yet. He is hot.
information I have, the better off I am in being able to rule on it.
Let me take a breath.
So this is, and this is,
Take a breath.
this is you trying to keep the evidence out. So you want to give me the information.
Understood. Did you or did you not ever do a test where you backed the Lexus up against the Traverse?
we did not.
Did you or did you not ever do a test where you put the two cars together and measured them?
No.
Did you ever measure the taillight of the SUV, the black SUV, against any area on that Traverse?
No.
Did you ever do any force multiplier tests to determine the forces necessary to crack the SUV's convex taillight?
No.
Did you ever do any testing to determine whether or not a plastic taillight, under how much pressure a plastic taillight would need to be subjected before it would crack?
No.
Did you ever do any testing to determine whether or not if a taillight, if a plastic taillight came in contact with a metallic portion of another SUV, whether it would leave any mark?
Haven't done any tests, and I've seen crashes where headlights have struck other vehicles. That's kind of where the experience comes from.
Fair enough. But I'm guessing that those crashes are probably different speeds and higher speeds. Not this, right?
I've had multiple crashes at different speeds.
So have you ever
So,
had
yes.
a crash where you've investigated, the Massachusetts State Police has been brought in to investigate a crash where the car was going in reverse at about a half a mile an hour.
Half a mile an hour?
Whatever that was.
You saying are you saying the SUV Lexus is going half a mile per hour?
Well, you're the reconstructionist. Give me an estimate of how fast you think that SUV was going at the point of contact with the Traverse.
Maybe like 1-2 miles per hour.
Okay, fair enough. Have you ever been called in to a crash, to investigate a crash, where the cars have collided at 1 mile an hour?
I've had pedestrian crashes that have been at a very low speed.
Okay, that wasn't my question. That wasn't quite my question.
Okay.
My question is, have you been called in to a crash involving two vehicles
Yeah.
that have made contact at about a mile an hour?
I have seen testing for vehicles at low speeds. So next time I have been called to a crash, I go to fatality crashes, but I have seen testing for vehicles at low speed impacts,
Okay. How low speed?
like just the bump.
So like this?
Yes.
Did you see any damage?
Yes. All right. Well, minimal damage.
Right. In what circumstance? Minimal damage, like, I don't know, like a cracked taillight.
No, like just a little bit of rub off on the paint.
Right? Or you might see nothing, right?
Yes.
You've certainly seen circumstances in which two cars come in contact and there's absolutely no physical damage to either car, nothing observable, right?
Have I gone to crashes that I've seen no physical damage on a car?
Or just in common sense, just everyday life, where one car backs into another car at the Jiffy Lube, makes contact, drives away, and there's no damage.
Not normally. It's usually something with car and car impacts.
Like, what's the something?
A crack or a paint, something chip, scratches.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you put a piece of metal in that scenario, if you put a piece of metal,
What's gonna
steel, right,
Uh-huh.
against a piece of plastic, which one do you think is going to give way first?
Plastic or
You'll
metal?
still see some damage to both vehicles at a speed.
Which one would give way first?
Between metal, depends what speeds. And what we're talking about, you're just saying plastic and metal. You're giving a pretty general, broad plastic and metal
Trooper Paul,
analysis here.
you admit, you got to agree with me, that there are circumstances in which low speed, very, very low speed contact between two cars can certainly leave damage on one and not damage on the other, damage on both, or no damage on either one. Observe.
Yes, I just said in that situation where the scratch on the side of her car had a scratch mark and his doesn't appear to have anything.
And you said under questioning by Mr. Lally that certain circumstances like this could lead to a lens material, right, plastic material cracking, right?
Say again, like on least.
Just a few minutes ago, Mr. Lally,
I'm trying to answer your question. Sorry. Yes.
That's nervous.
Mr. Lally asked you a question a few minutes ago, and you indicated that something might show up on a bumper. Something might, I'm sorry, something might on the taillight might actually crack, correct? In a low speed impact.
A taillight might crack in a low speed impact?
Correct.
Yeah, it might crack.
Okay, now.
That's nerves. This is nerves. That shift that he did with his neck is nerves. I mean, he's busted right
Mr. Lally
now.
also said you saw this video where the cars
This is where it gets
come close
really
to
bad.
or make contact, right? That's how he worded the question. Remember that?
Come close. Yep.
Which one is it? Did it come close or did it make contact?
I said it might. I don't know if that scratch from the side is. It's something that's consistent with the height of the bumper. Like I said, I didn't measure them from side by side, but you can clearly see there's a scratch on the side, and that's something that looks like that would come back. So as I look at the bumper, and I see the bumper, and it has that little divot, and I look at her side of her car with that scratch mark, that kind of lines up a little bit of why that could be where that was from.
Kinda.
You said there was no damage on that car, on the Traverse.
There is no damage, and that's why I went to why there's the two different paint materials there. That why one could have showed up on her car because it's that flat, the glossy paint on there, and it could have scratched on it. While you have something that's a little more rougher texture with like a flat, flat color on there, that wouldn't leave on there.
So you just described the circumstance in which two cars come in contact, you don't see any observable damage on one, and you do on the other. That's what
I just
described, right?
Yeah, I suggested that when you asked me that a second ago.
Yeah. With regard to the video, let's get back to the question that I asked, which was, In
He
that
is
video-
nervous Nelly.
Did the SUV come close to, or did it come in contact with the Traverse?
Again, I don't know because I'm saying based off the damage that is something consistent with that. So it's most likely it did come in contact with the bumper to bumper, but I don't know definitively because there is no damage to his car, but it's something that could explain why there's a scratch mark alongside the right rear side of his car, or her car.
Did you see the tire move,
Yeah.
sir? Did you see the wheel on the Traverse move in that video?
No, I couldn't see the wheel move.
I beg your pardon?
Yeah.
I didn't see it move. I didn't-
Jackson actually fucking gave this guy a rope right there. Jackson actually gave this dude a rope. He literally went, I beg you, like he's trying to save him right now. Like, at least give me something here. Jackson's actually trying to save this guy right now. He goes, I beg your pardon? Like, he's trying to help the dude out. He's trying to help this dude out right now. I'm going to go back a little bit before we end this. Right here. He's going to try to help this guy out. Hey, Scott, happy Father's Day. Yes, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. And the single moms that do the dad job as well, too. You're all fantastic. He tried helping this dude out.
The glossy paint on there, and it could have scratched on it. While you have something that's a little more rougher texture with like a flat, flat color on there, that wouldn't leave on there.
So you just described the circumstance in which two cars come in contact. You don't see any observable damage on one, and you do on the other. That's what
I said yes to that when you asked me that a second ago.
Yes. With regard to the video, let's get back to the question that I asked.
Here it comes.
Which was, in that video, did the SUV come close to, or did it come in contact with the Traverse?
Again, I don't know because I'm saying based off the damage that is something consistent with that. So it's most likely it did come in contact with the bumper to bumper, but I don't know definitively because there is no damage to his car, but it's something that could be.
This is, I'm telling you, you're going to go in there and this is what you're going to say. And we are watching. I'm telling you, they set this guy up.
Explain why there's a scratch mark alongside the
stick to the program.
Right rear side of his car, or her car.
Did you see the tire move, sir? Did you see the wheel on the Traverse move in that video?
No, I couldn't see the wheel move.
I beg your pardon?
I didn't see it move. If I did, I didn't observe it moving. If it moved, it moved. I didn't observe it moving. I wasn't looking at the wheel.
When was the first time you saw that video?
I don't really know. It's been a little while,
Well, I don't know what a little while means.
like a year ago, I think.
Okay. So you saw that video a year ago. Did you put anything about that video in your report, which is wherever it is, right here?
Wherever it is. He doesn't even want to read
Looking
it.
at your entire CARS report. Put anything in this CARS report about
Why
watching
is
that
my
video?
camera acting up?
No, because I watched the video like after the report was done, and I watched it first time on Court TV. So
So who on Court TV during this trial?
like
Prior here.
no, when it was on TV at some point.
When did you and Mr. Lally have a discussion about
God, this is so
testifying about
bad.
this video?
That was a couple weeks ago?
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand.
A couple of weeks ago?
What's a couple of weeks
Now
ago?
it's gonna get
10
bad.
days ago?
Days ago? 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago? Couple? Two?
Where did you two meet?
At the DA's office.
Of course you
Is
did.
that at your request or was it at that at Mr. Lally's request?
It was a pre-conference hearing, or pre-trial hearing.
Right. Well, those
Or
are
pre-trial conference, sorry.
done.
So, yes.
We're talking over each other. I'm trying not to talk over you,
I'm trying not either.
Let's both try harder.
Okay.
John, thank you for giving the 5. We'll add
set up
5 to the total
meeting?
tonight.
From my pre-trial.
Way off.
Yes.
Okay.
Paul.
Adam Lally.
Who was at the meeting?
Everybody sitting right here. Lieutenant Tolley.
Lieutenant Tully, you, Adam Lally, Laura McLaughlin. I'm guessing Ms. Gilman was not there.
She was not there. Correct.
Did Mr. Lally show you this video at that meeting?
Yes.
Did he tell you that he intended to ask you some questions about this video at that meeting?
Yes.
Did he ask you whether or not you could render an opinion as to whether or not impact you saw or lack thereof, whatever the case may be, was consistent or inconsistent with damage to the taillight?
Yes.
Did you tell him that you would give him such opinion if called upon at trial?
Yes.
Did anybody take any notes?
I don't know.
Were you taking notes?
Yes.
Where are those notes, Trooper Paul?
I think I just, well, no, it's not on this specifically, but just, make sure I had, my everything checks and balance. And for what I want to talk about, what we're going to talk about.
Make sure you had.
There it is. There's the magic words. What did he say? To make sure I get everything in checks and balances. That's the setup. Checks and balances. I had my show about this the other night. Checks and balances. Woo! And that's going to make AJ hot.
What?
My checks and balances. Sorry.
Yeah.
Checks and balances.
Just make sure I'm more on the same page of what we understand what's going on in the trial.
You want to make sure that you're on the same page with Mr. Lally about what's going on in trial.
Yes.
All right. Did Mr. Lally take notes?
I have no idea.
You were watching him. I mean, was he writing something down?
I wasn't paying attention to his note taking.
Ms. McLaughlin was there. Was she taking notes?
I don't know.
You didn't see her either?
I don't know if there people were taking notes, writing stuff down, or what they're writing stuff down in relation to our conference.
Did you give him an opinion? We've asked whether or not you were asked to give an opinion, and you said, yes, 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 I was.
Yep.
Did you give an opinion at that meeting about whether or not you believe, in your opinion, the contact between the SUV and the Traverse, the Lexus and the Traverse, could result in the damage to the taillight?
Yes.
What did you tell him in the meeting?
Oh, man.
What we talked about already in the stand here.
Okay. So what you related to him was exactly what you've relayed in this court.
Yes.
All right. And he asked you, he told you that he was going to ask, I'm going to ask you to look at the video, correct?
Yes.
You're going to be asked a series of questions about that video, correct?
He told me the video and he said, okay, this is the video. This is what they think the taillight was broken. And these are the pictures of his car that they take. So they asked my opinion on, do you think that's where a taillight would be broken?
And he said, and he told you, you need to
he's literally
make sure that
bagging
you
himself
tell
right
the jurors that couldn't have happened in this impact, right?
He didn't tell me that. Make sure jurors. I mean, that's my opinion on. It doesn't appear to happen in that video.
Did he tell you that it would be helpful to the prosecution if you said that it would be, that it was inconsistent with the taillight breaking?
Objection.
Danielle, thank you.
I'm going to
$5
allow
more.
it. Did he tell you it would be helpful to the case if you said that?
No,
But you knew it would be, right?
I'm just stating what I saw on my professional opinion on what it is. If it looked like it was consistent, I would say
AJ,
it's consistent.
got it.
If it wasn't consistent, it's not consistent. I'm not going to.
I'm sure that's what you would say.
Okay, so comments are not appropriate for the jury. They're also not very good for me, Mr. Jackson.
Understood, Your Honor.
Jay Margaret, it's not very good for me. You ever seen the lady that does the impressions of Auntie Bev? Oh my God, so good. Jay Margaret, $5. There must be software that can determine if there is an absolute movement in the tire so we can end this debate. Honestly, here they are right here. There's the two software right here. The tire moves. I mean, like I said earlier in my live, Stevie Wonder would see that tire moving. This guy is just lying, bullshitting, and that's a great pause right there. This guy is lying, bullshitting. He was brought in by Proctor, Tully, Lally. I think he said Morrissey was there as well. And they pinned it on this guy and said, this is what you're saying. This is the program. Go along with it. I mean, it's clearly, he's going to get shredded tomorrow on the stand.
Did you formalize your new opinion? Because this is a new opinion, right? You've never been asked this opinion.
Yeah, right here.
Yes.
Did you formalize this new opinion in any kind of report or memorialize it in any way?
No.
Did Mr. Lally ask you to create a report of some sort that you could then turn over to the defense so that we would know that you have a new opinion that you're going to testify about?
No.
Did you save those notes that you took about making sure that you were on the same page as Mr. Lally?
Yeah, I saved mine.
Where are they?
They're my report.
They're in your report?
Yeah, as I was writing a report, I just kind of like highlighted stuff that I want to make sure I memorize and remember my report.
Okay. I'm talking about notes specifically about this video, seeing this video and rendering a new opinion about this video.
No, I didn't have notes specifically about this video. I didn't write anything down saying I must do this on this video.
Lee, thank you for the 10.
Did you write anything down
what I said earlier in the stream?
about
Interesting.
the new opinion that you had come up with related to this video?
No, I did not.
Joe, thank you so much for the Aussie 20. Says for Karen. Thank you, Brian, for all you're doing with this trial. Brother, appreciate you, mate. Got my Jackson Unetti 2004 t-shirt in the mail this morning. That's awesome. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Good stuff. Thank you for the support.
Just moving on.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
And your opinion ultimately that you imparted to Mr. Lally in that meeting was that the car did not move and the snow did not move, correct?
Correct.
Jackson's pissed.
I think that's all I have.
All right. Did you want to follow up at all, Mr. Lally?
All right. I don't need to hear the follow-up. I just wanted to get that in. This guy's going to get shredded tomorrow. All right. Let's end this. 3 hours. 3-hour banger tonight. 3-hour banger. I don't even know what our total was. Go back up. 467. So we're at 116, 117, 116.75. We'll round that up to 120 for Karen. So what I'll do is, like I traditionally do, is right after the stream, I will post the receipt up on my Facebook page. I will post it up on my YouTube community page. And then the ultimate vetting is you can go right to the defense link and click there, and it will say LTL chat raiser 616.24, and we'll get that donation of 120 up there. So that's going to be it. It's going to be it for tonight. I got to get out of here, out of the studio, lock everything up, and head home. I hope, please, can the air conditioner please be working this week? I want to come back to my studio. I've literally only been here 3 days in the last like 4 weeks because it's been so hot up here. But I like doing it from here because this is why I made this studio. And I have literally empty seats that I want to bring people in and have conversations with. That's why I did this. But hopefully the AC will be up and going. It's supposed to be Tuesday, so we'll see. Tomorrow they're supposed to pressurize the system and then get it certified, and then it's supposed to be turned on Tuesday. I don't know. I'm waiting. Anticipating waiting. Just so if anybody didn't know and you're coming in late, I want to let you know this. A medical doctor, MD, has reached out to me, and I'm going to have a vetting conversation with them tomorrow, but I've looked up their credentials. Everything looks and checks out via their credentials so far. They have an engineering degree, so they can explain taillight to us. They also have obviously a practicing medical doctor. They will be able to explain hypothermia to us and explain all of the injuries on John O'Keefe's body. I'm going to have a conversation with this MD tomorrow, and that we are scheduled to have them come on live with me on Wednesday at 9 p.m. So I cannot wait to do that. I think it's going to be awesome. And I appreciate that MD reaching out to me because they have been following this case and said, hey, I want to have a voice in this. I want to talk about it. So my show will be Wednesday night at 9 p.m. If the medical examiner testifies, this is going to be awesome. We can look at the cross and direct and go through that. And this MD told me if we don't have it then and it happens before Friday, they will come back on Friday night and do the cross and the direct with me on Friday night. So I am very, very, very curious about what they have to say in this. And it sucks we don't have the medical examiner's report, but we at least can pull up some of the injury photos and go through that and just see what their opinion is. And I cannot wait to hear all about it. I think it's going to be an amazing show. Let's get this super chat in. $10. Thank you so much, Standing Stones. I appreciate that. and we'll get that in. 477 total. That's going to round us out to, where are we at? 477 minus 25% is, what is my math? 119. It'll take us to 120. So we'll round that up. All right, everybody. I hate to go, but I'm going to go. It's late. Hey, we consistently held about 1,000 people tonight in the chat. That's pretty awesome. Thank you for all being here. And thank you so much for all the donations that come in. I love kicking this 25% back to Karen Reed's Defense Fund because I truly, truly believe in her team, and I truly believe in her that she is 100% not guilty and will be acquitted of these charges. And I appreciate everything. Thank you for all your help. No show scheduled for tomorrow. I think I'm going to take a couple days off, but we will schedule the MD episode for Wednesday. So look out for that. I'll make an announcement, and tomorrow's going to be very interesting. Maybe I come back Tuesday and do a recap, and then Wednesday we'll do the MD show. All right, everybody, get some rest. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate all your time. I love all of you, and thank you. Subscribe, like, share, comment. Talk to you all soon. Have a great night. Be safe. Bye.
Take the change and set the trap.